Are you listening? I'm surrounded, just following an empty sound. Are you listening? Another time, another place that surrounds me, and I know that I've been here before. I wanna change, but I'm only as strong as you see me. I'm becoming numb to the things that I've done, time and time again. Are you listening? I'm surrounded, just following empty sounds. Are you listening? But I'm falling, so hold me while I'm coming down. Are you I've laid awake, I've laid afraid of the moments that I lost when I bolted the door. I'm gonna change, I know that you've heard it all before. I close my eyes, my demons can find me time and time again. Are you listening? I'm surrounded, just following empty sounds. Are you listening? But I'm falling, so hold me while I'm coming down. Are you Are you listening? I'm surrounded, just follow.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage in order to weaken democratic institutions.
Welcome to the Rebel Nation. Streaming live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights on the only platforms for free speech, X and Rumble. Links are in the description.
You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing.
That citizens no longer know what to believe.
Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions,
In each other,
in the possibility of
truth.
the game's won.
Welcome to the Rebel Nation. What up, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome to Monday night. Chaos construed. It keeps coming. I don't know why.
It's ironic that was that an AI generated thing with Obama?
No, it's a speech he made.
Really? Really? Huh.
That's a speech he made
Obama
at
laid out
Stanford.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, so I said, back in the day, they used to sit there and say the best way not to get caught is to commit a crime right underneath the cop shop. It's the best thing to do is just put all the information right out there in front of everybody, and nobody would believe that it's actually true.
The only crime I've ever done was peed on the RCMP building. I had to
never got in
go
trouble.
real bad, man.
But you never got in trouble for it, right?
Right. Right. But I'm sure I'm on camera taking a pee on a federal building.
But welcome in, everybody, on X, Rumble, and tonight we are live on YouTube. We're going to see how that goes. I'm not monetized over there, so I don't care.
By the way, I think I was like fucking 13 when that happened. So Justin Trudeau, my fucking bank account better not get frozen. I heard that you do that once in a while.
But freeze bank accounts?
Yeah. I think you gotta be a criminal, though. I think you gotta break the law for that to happen.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, man. I guess, there was rumors down here at one time, because, down here on the States, anything over, you deposit anything over $10,000 into a bank account, the bank automatically reports it to the government.
So I got a plan here. You know what I would like the chat to do? Every time that you hear us say Adin Ross, I want you to message Adin Ross to come and join this podcast. Just go at Adin Ross. You could, and then hit that little button at the top there with the thing there, and just at him in there and be like, come and join. Please and thank you. That'd be really awesome. I've never met the man. How old is he?
Who, Aiden?
Is he a man?
Is he like 25?
Okay.
20, 22, 25, something like that?
I say pre-man. Can I say pre-man? Is that fair? Because I think that you turn into a man into your late 30s. You start realizing that like household incomes are like maybe 35,000.
Yeah, he's still trying to find his way in this world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good to see though. It's good to see though that he's actually taking interest, even though I didn't get to watch all of it. I only watched bits and pieces of it, but it seemed like every time I turned it on, it was the same thing. He was just talking about Trump's opinion on world leaders.
My question is this, okay? Like, do you not think that this was his way, that this was almost his Kevin Hart?
I think he was. He's a content creator, so he was using it for content for one, but I think he was
Trump
actually
doesn't get photographed with that Rolex on his wrist.
he probably has hundreds of them anyways.
True, yeah.
And that's one thing people ask. It's like, what is the deal with watches? All these streamers and everything else always gifted watches. What's the deal with the Rolex watches? Is that like an inductee into like a secret organization or?
Fuck, man, as a Sigma, look, I think that's like this whole like alpha thing, it's showing like what you have, just like what is it? What is that vehicle that everybody talks about? A Bugatti.
Oh,
is that it?
Well,
a
no,
Bugatti.
Now it's a Cybertruck.
Oh, so a Cybertruck, and then you've got the Rolex, right? Or you got a watch, and it shows that you're an alpha. But what they don't realize is that over time, they're all going to turn into a Sigma, which then at that point, you just want a really good pair of underwear. Would you not agree?
To me, it's back in the day, Rolex actually meant something. It was a staple of like wealth and eliteness and everything else. But
Yeah, you're talking to a dude that has had a Seiko watch all his life. Come on. We had calculators on our fucking watches.
No,
Our watches were off-brand Chinese Taiwan watches.
That's what I was saying. It's back in the day, it was like a staple of wealth and or elegance. Eliteness.
I mean, yeah, the watch over history is probably one of the things that people have carried around to show wealth.
But
I
and
do
now,
not disagree with that.
but now I think like with the younger crowd and stuff like that. I mean, I can understand. The younger crowd, they're sitting there thinking if they can afford a $3,000 watch, that it shows that it's showing off their ability to get wealth.
I guess to each their own, right? Like my
Yeah.
ability to show my wealth is by buying like the brand new console that comes out,
Yeah,
But
or the
I
new
think that's a
PCs.
realism of where I am, and like what I'm trying to build. So
I mean, me personally, even if I was offered a Cybertruck or anything like that, I'd probably return it just for the fact because I'm not
you'd be
into
afraid
those.
to plug it in.
I'm just not into those kind of things. I'm not into those because you think
Folks,
about
you'd
it. Though,
plug it in and be like thinking, how much money am I fucking spending just charging this thing?
but no, I'd be thinking it's like, damn, if I wrecked it, how much money would it cost me to fix it? It's just like all these people buying these brand new Corvettes. It costs more to fix them, and these Lamborghinis, it costs more to fix them than it does to own
I
them.
think so too. I don't think that people take in the account of the road rage factor that people have. Okay, so an older vehicle can withstand punching from a dashboard
Yeah,
and the shaking of a fucking steering wheel,
that was a
and
lot.
stuff like that. So these newer vehicles, man, like I don't know how many people rage in a newer vehicle. Like it'd be crazy to me to think that you'd rage in a Cybertruck, get cut off or something like that, and punching your display or something like that, causing your own damage through your own rage.
Yeah.
People are rageful, like we've seen that. Everybody's seen that video of that guy pounding on the window of the car. I mean, we've got memes now on it.
Yeah, there was one I seen the other day on X. They posted some guy was trying to pull out another truck out of the mud or something like that with his Cybertruck, and it ripped off the bumper of the Cybertruck. And then they found out that most of it was plastic components.
See, a lot of people don't know this though. Is that if it's not like an actual Tesla, I think that his vehicles are actually like you kind of like designed for you, kind of one of a kind or something like that. They're not really mass produced. But
Oh yeah, well, they're on
the
the Tesla a lot up here.
Asian market has been growing with their smart cars and their battery operated vehicles, and you can actually buy aftermarket vehicles that are aftermarket. Like they're a different brand.
Yeah, they're called kit cars. Yeah.
No. These are like built cars that are sent to you.
No, I know they're called kit cars down here.
Through dealerships and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, you can get kit cars for just about anything. Like you can get kit cars that are Lamborghinis and Porsches.
No,
and
these are like electric cars, though.
I know, but a car's a car.
See, I've seen videos up here in Canada right now recently with that new F-150 Lightning coming back, where they're like advertising it now for sale. That's a big thing up here that's happening. Is there's a lot more talk about amping up the electrical vehicle thing.
Epic battles in these English streets trying to take back London. Sorry, that just threw me off. But anyways, I don't know if you guys ever watched the whole Adin Ross. If you guys don't know who that is, it's on here. He was, most people know who he is. He's a Twitch streamer, kick streamer. More of a kick streamer now because I don't think he streams on Twitch much, or at all. But he was a content creator, was basically classified as I don't even know what it's
funny that XQC and Donald Trump met each other. They probably understood each other because they kind of both mumble at the same time. So they had the same baritone.
I seen that when he walked down the steps behind or in front of him, just walked right past Trump. I mean, it's like, what the fuck is XQC doing in this? I mean, he's not a political. I mean, Adin really isn't either, but That goes to show. I think all these dudes live in the same fucking house because they're always together in certain things like this. There's no way that they just fly across the country or whatever. I think they all live in a freaking streamer house.
I don't think that they don't live in like a house together or whatever, but I also do know that the United States is far easier to travel by airline than it is, say, Canada.
Well,
So
no, I
like the
know, but
red eyes and stuff like that are always available where you can like, and with the amount of money that they make, and the entourage that they have, they're probably fucking renting jets and shit like that.
but it just cracks me up. It's like all these content creators, they're always collabing together, always running off everybody's shirt tails. I was watching all these sort of kind of big names on Kick today when that was on. It's like everybody was just chatting streams, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I turned over and they're all watching this, eating their popcorn and drinking and talking and getting like 30, 40,000 views. And it's like, y'all just stealing, you're all just riding shirt tails. You'll make your own damn content.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, he still didn't beat Kai's record.
No, he only got like
which
560,000.
I feel in the genre was an authentic feat to achieve. Like because it was a comedian that he basically had on. Like a famous comedian versus Adin Ross. Kind of dipping his toes into the political money,
Well, and
so how much should Adin get paid to feature Donald Trump, or how much should Adin have to pay to feature Donald Trump? Is my question.
Well, I don't think he had to pay anything.
Because nothing's done for free.
I really think it was just a friend thing because of him and Dana. I think it was just Trump don't pay for Trump can't collect money off of those.
Adin Ross should come on here.
No, I don't want to. Me personally, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would not. I'd lose my shit on Adin because he's got so much. I'd be like Andrew Tate on Adin, man, because he's got so much talent and he wastes away doing the shit that he does. I mean, I'm saying that he's trying to finally, his comeback was doing this. So maybe he's growing up. Maybe that whole section of being an adult's actually kicking in, saying that
being an adult would be having Kamala on next.
I don't know. With him being a hardcore Trump supporter, I don't think that would go. I don't think that would go.
Yeah, but that would be next level, right? That would be him showing that he could push aside his opinions and beliefs and allow somebody to speak the same way that he did with Donald Trump. Maybe do the same thing that he did with Donald Trump. Show her pictures of world leaders and allow her to choose what she thinks of these world leaders. It'd be interesting, and it'd definitely be like a different take. No cap.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to hear her ramble on about what could have been, what would have been, and what has been.
I'd like to hear what she thinks about North Korean leader and stuff like that. So why not do the same exact thing? Just give her a Rolex too.
The only reason why he likes that is because he likes Harris. He has dreams about Harris at night. His wife just doesn't know.
No, what it is an equal platform, right?
Oh,
like if you want to be next level, that would be the next level thing. Is don't be one-sided, right? Allow the other side.
I would love to have them both. I'd love to have them both on here. I talk to them both, because I would.
Like if I had a chance to interview Justin Trudeau, and then got a chance to do interview PP or Pierre Poilievre, I'd take it. Even though I don't believe
be biased, though. You couldn't.
I absolutely could.
You can't be biased.
I absolutely could.
About it. So how could you be biased?
I'm biased when we're talking.
I mean,
I'm more biased than
you're
you
biased. That's right. You're biased. I mean,
or unbiased. You're trying to get me confused with my words while I'm stoned.
No, you are. You're pretty. I mean, you stand firm on your convictions that you're the left leaning, but like I said,
I don't know what you mean by left leaning.
Well,
I just lived a different life than you did.
That has
my life was. Your life was full of structure and discipline. My life was full of
You don't listen to how I grew up, do you? Ever when we talk
Well,
about it,
you tell
don't
me that
listen
your
to
parents were the people that took care of you were way older of an older generation. So I'm just
until I was 13 years old. From 13 on, I was on my own.
oh
So
well.
you never listen.
I mean, I consider myself kind of on my own in my life at about 10 years old.
The decisions I have right now are created by the world that I lived in on my own.
I don't disagree with you on that.
I
I
didn't
agree with
have
you wholeheartedly.
I didn't have parents to guide me in a direction, which I'm grateful because, I did become a free thinker. And I think that's what I'm not saying go out and just dump your kids off on the side of the road. But what I'm saying is I think people don't let their kids be kids and don't let them, figure out what it is to be independent. That's the reason why you got so many kids stuck in the basement still, because they don't know how to be independent.
See, I've always looked at my life as being kind of one parented for a while. My dad was basically my role model all my life, other than what I saw on television that I chose at times to be a role model, which would be like, I don't know, uh, uh, Ro- uh, Robin Thicke's dad there in Growing Pains and shit like that. Um, Not great role models now that that we're older and we know the history of them and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, like I have looked at myself as being raised by a individual at my age now that was stressed out, trying to make ends meet, being able to satisfy his wife and three boys that he had. Um, Yeah, but I've reconciled that. Like same thing with me at 10 years old. Like I say that I was a child by one parent at 10 years old because something traumatic happened in my life with my mom, where I kind of didn't consider my mom a parent anymore. Uh, at one point, and it took a long time to reconcile that in my own head. It wasn't something that she could do; it was something I had to do. Does that make sense? But let's get on back with Aiden Ross here and Trump, please.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, bugged out on me.
No problem.
My internet is crappy here lately. I'm just glad it doesn't end the stream when I have to refresh. Um,
Unfortunately for me, I look at these. Why didn't it refresh? Okay. Unfortunately for me, I look at like Aiden Ross as an individual at his age right now that is trying to make money. Money is
oh yeah,
important to him.
yeah.
Bitcoin is important to him. The survival of Bitcoin is important to him.
Well, that was one of the conversations that him and Andrew Tate had. Was the fact of the matter that he's all about the money instead of about the content, about making good in the world. So I think what he did today with interviewing Trump, I think that was maybe a move in a direction that he's going to be more worldly. Like I said, I the ones that I did see, I don't believe that he did I figured it would be more in depth and more like policy question, because that's what we need Trump on focus with if we want people want Trump elected. That's where he's lacking right now, is he's losing the faith, or losing the face of the policy issues and what's going on around him, in trying to trash his opponent all the time. Like I said, I think that's what a lot of his issue has become. Hopefully I can play this over here. Play it. But we'll go ahead and jump in, and we'll do a little commentary on some of his. We're not going to go through all of it because I think it was like an hour and 26 minutes or something like that. But I mean, that's probably what's caused. He's got the whole. I can't play the music because we're on YouTube. But he's got the whole CNN type thing going there. I like his intro. It's pretty cool though. See if I can jump forward. There we go. We're gonna do this. I mean, I'll probably get mute or probably.
Many men wish death upon me. Blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be, and trying to take my life away. I put up with me, my back on the wall. Now you gon' see. Better watch how you talk when you talk about me.
I don't know why it's lagging. I think it's the stream or the kid.
Many men wish death on me. Lord, I don't cry no more. Don't look to the sky no more. Have mercy on me. Put money on my head, gone, get your refund. I ain't dead, I'm the diamond in the dirt that ain't been found. I'm the underground king, and I ain't been crowned. When I rhyme, something special happen every time. I'm the greatest. Something like Ali in this prime.
I mean,
Who's
what
the fucking what's that music?
Wee Man or something, or Miss Min something, I can't remember. But okay, so my first critique: if you're meeting ex-president of the United States for one, and meeting somebody like Donald Trump, I don't think kitchen chairs would probably be my choice of furniture to sit in.
Well, I mean, Trump's got padding, doesn't he?
It doesn't matter. It's called a respect thing.
Hey, I got a question though. How tall is Adin Ross?
I don't know.
Because it looks like he's almost the same height.
Well,
as
it's also
Donald
the angle
Trump.
of the camera too. But the fact that, I mean, I'm sure this was all pre-planned and pre-rehearsed and everything else. But and another
Yeah,
thing
why
is
are
like,
they behind a velvet rope, dude? Like, is that like to display them?
it's
or
probably because because they have to keep. It's just like a rally. You can't be like right up on the stage. You have to be back so many feet from the stage. It's probably a Secret Service thing. Would you quit? Dog's back here whining for no reason. But no, like I said, the matter of fact, I mean, his house looks pretty cool. I mean, it fits it, but
wait a minute, isn't this Mar-a-Lago?
is it? I don't know. Could be. Might be. Oh, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that way they can control the crowds.
Where is Mar-a-Lago, by the way? Florida, right?
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, I think Aiden is in Florida now, so that could be true. This could be Mar-a-Lago. That looks about as old as Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, because I don't see Aiden having Egyptian pottery in the corners of his house. Yeah, this is probably Mar-a-Lago.
Get started today. Let's have some fun. Let's go. We'll touch base on some topics, and then we'll do some fun stuff. Sounds good. Cool? Let's have a good time. All right, well, the first thing is, the reason why, I really wanted to make this stream happen is because there's a lot of people that are first-time voters watching today. And I want to make it very clear to everybody that you're a human being, you're a great human being. And I want you to basically talk in this camera, talk to them and explain why it's very important as a first-time voter to go out and vote and why they should vote for you.
I'd love to do that, and I love having a young audience. This is young. I think you have some oldsters too, because I also know some oldsters that are listening and watching. But it's about the American dream. Right now, you don't have the American dream. We have a country that's not respected, a country that's being laughed at.
The audio is the
Just a little
video, not
while ago,
mine, by the way.
having a stock market explosion in a negative way as opposed to a positive way. That's been happening for
Control
quite a while.
myself on that
It's been
comment.
simmering and really happening for quite a while. And we're going to make this country so strong and so great. And when you're ready for your job, you're going to get a great job, a job so you can make the kind of money this guy's making, maybe even more if that's possible.
I'm
Right?
trying to get like you, boss.
But you'll love your life and you'll be successful. And at a young age, it's really wonderful to think about the American dream. And with Kamala and Joe, I took him out. He was we had a debate, and the debate didn't go so well for him. And they sort of what they did, it was really a coup of somebody. He
Yeah.
had 14 million votes. He had it, and all of a sudden they went to him and they said, "We don't want you running anymore." And it's sort of like a prize fight from my standpoint. Here, you're focused on this one man,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're fighting somebody else. But she's actually worse than he is, and you're starting to see that. I think people are going to see that it's going to be very evident. So go out. We want the American dream. We're going to give you the American dream, and you're going to be real happy. Thank you.
I have another question, and again, Mr. President, I'm not really fully into politics, but I'm getting there, and I do want to make this very clear as well. Now that it's on my mind. Back when I was I went to high school in California, okay, and a lot of the teachers were basically at the time, this is your first term. They were telling me how horrible of a person you are and all these things, and the teachers, you're not supposed to do that. It's inappropriate to have teachers, discuss politics in school. But it's becoming really normal for a lot of teachers, and you're a kid. When you're a kid, your brain is like a sponge.
That's true.
So,
All right.
wonder
I
if
do agree with that to a point. But we all went to school with history, right? And I believe that most of our teachers that did history or sociology or any of that had their own opinions that they talked about, right? Because they had yeah. So,
Yeah, but
I
school's supposed to
agree,
be-
but there's like a fine line.
School's supposed to be neutral.
Like,
That's
I
supposed to
don't
be a
think that a
neutral-
phys ed teacher should be talking political points in his
Why?
class.
I mean, he's no different. He's a person, He has no. If one teacher can teach it, talk about it. I'm not saying teach it. I'm saying talk about it. Why can't he talk
Right.
about it? It'd be
I-
just like us. It'd be just like, well, we shouldn't be talking about it because we're not, But I'm not saying teach it. But what I'm saying, I mean, it shouldn't be. If you're going to talk politics or whatever in school, you should have it on a neutral basis and not as a one-sided conversation, no matter what your beliefs are. So the fact of the matter that his teachers were saying how bad of a person he was and everything else, trying to influence, because teachers are influencers. They, especially young minds, they, just like he said, they're sponges. They create the atmosphere. They create what you see they create what you see and what you perceive in the world instead of allowing you to, create your own ideals at that point in time. That's why I'm saying schools don't allow free thinking, because of the fact of the matter, one, it's not in their curriculum, and two, you have the opinion base of every teacher, You look dumbfounded. Why are you dumbfounded?
No, I'm just listening.
It's the look on your face. It's like, he's full of shit.
No. I'm just agreeing with you in the sense of I don't believe that teachers should be talking politics if they're not in that scenario of educating kids on it, right? So if you don't have the education in history and all that stuff, you really shouldn't be influencing kids that way. As a teacher, like a phys ed teacher, if a student sitting on the bench with his head down thinking about whether or not it's right to be a Democrat or a Republican, I don't think that phys ed teacher has any right to influence that kid. Is what I'm saying.
Well, none of the teachers do. That's not their job.
Right, but there is a fine line because there are teachers that have to talk about politics and history.
Well,
and
yeah.
have opinions about it.
But a good example about being neutral It's like I can remember when I think it was a first grade or second grader. It was whenever Reagan was running for president. I remember that because we had a debate. I think it was his term was coming up. So who came after Reagan? Was it Carter? I think it was the the election between Reagan going out and I think Carter coming in. That we actually had a presidential debate. You know, we had one person be Ronald Reagan and one person be Jimmy Carter. You know, this is in second grade. And then we were, told what to look, what to pay attention to. We were given topics and stuff like that on both sides to read and kind of understand how politics operated. You know, like I said, this is a second grade. I'm pretty sure it was a second grade. But the fact of the matter is that we held a mock election, and we got up, the person that was Reagan got up and did his point, did his debate, and Carter got up and did his debate. And then us as the audience body, we were the ones that were going to determine, who won the debate. And so it gave us a good insight at a young age on how politics operated, and it also gave us the idea to use our own ability to free think and understand what is going on with the world to make those decisions.
Talking about the debate, is that the debate where Ronald Reagan looked at his watch? Was that the one where, or was it?
No,
Bob
we did our own debate.
Oh, I see.
We didn't. A mock debate means a fake debate.
Okay, sorry. No. I thought that you guys were doing it off of.
No, we did our own debate. We
gotcha.
We did the teacher gave President Reagan talking points and Carter talking points because we were only in second grade. We weren't going to come up with political talking points.
Right.
So they try, it's just like, and it's just like the days of running for class president. Do they even have class presidents anymore in school? Do they even have a student council in school anymore? I mean, what?
I think so. But like up here in Canada, I know that there's student bodies and like student presidents.
Student bodies is like the entire school, but
no, like committees and stuff like that.
Okay, I mean, I know they have like homecoming committees and stuff like that, but I didn't know if they actually still had like student council, which we called Stuco. But I mean that gave somebody the ability to understand politics, and I think that is what's missing in a lot of the schooling nowadays because they're so focused on other stuff that has nothing to do with education, for one. And they're focusing more on social adaptations more than they are like what is really going to help. I guess what I'm saying, they're focused on the person instead of how to teach the person on how to be a steeple in or a point of somebody to correct things that goes on in the world.
Yeah.
What is your problem? Hang on.
Chat, I don't know about you, but I just cannot keep my eyes off the fucking mugshot in the background.
I don't know why my dog's afraid.
Especially now knowing that the Supreme Court has ruled that that his appeal's been denied, where he's got to go to the sentencing in New York. So I don't know.
I know.
Yeah,
that's just your comedy central of the day.
Look at me. Look, you know what?
I heard the laughter in the back of your.
The Supreme Court deciding that is a huge thing, and considering that he hired all those people that are on the Supreme Court, except for one that Biden put in there.
There's two Democrats on there.
Yeah, but Biden was the one that signed in the first black justice, female justice. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I know.
I know there's another female. I just can't remember.
But like I said, the fact of the matter at these schools and keeping personal opinions out of the school is what is missing. there's so much personal opinions and everything else. That's the reason why we have such an issue with schools nowadays, and that's the reason why I think it needs to be reformed. Because I mean, it's
Right, but
literally teaching our kids.
then why is the conservatives throwing down Christianity in schools? Then, like
I
throwing
don't.
it down people. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
So
believe
if
in
they're
that.
turning, if they're saying, "Hey, we can't talk politics," but hey, it's okay to talk
Nope.
religion.
Nobody says they couldn't talk politics. Who says they couldn't talk politics?
Well, we just like did we not
No,
agree that it should not be talked about in schools?
should not be biased. It should be neutral.
Oh yeah. I had
I think
teachers that were all like non-biased, right? Like if I talked politics with them, they would turn around and be, "Well, this is my opinion," but then
well, as I
like,
said,
but
I
that's
mean,
only my opinion. So
yeah,
don't
but
take
as
me
a
for my
kid,
word.
but as a kid though, if you're not in in the high school age or something like that, if you're like a second or third grader or fourth grader, I mean, you look up to those teachers as their opinion counts. So I mean, you're going to take their opinion into consideration instead of having just, this is, like we did with the mock election. We gave all sides the opportunity to make their decision on what they had. There was no like, okay, you vote for this person, you vote for that person. There wasn't like that. They were
At what
literally
at
unbiased
what
in
grade?
the
At what grade?
second grade.
Yeah, second grade. I was learning French, and then I went home with like French homework. And my dad, who is a landed immigrant from Germany, but became a Canadian citizen because he was like 5 years old when he came here, um, did not want me to learn French. He wanted me to learn German. So then I was excluded from French class
I
for
mean,
like,
isn't Canada mainly English speaking anyways?
oh, it's a bilingual country, sir.
I mean, what's the? I mean, everybody I hear from Canada speaks English.
Well, we speak English, but
That's what I'm saying.
we're considered a bilingual country
Well, so are we,
because
but
we're French and English.
we're everything.
Right, but like up here,
But what's the so French?
commonly
French is,
phrased up here, commonly phrased up here is if you want to get a good job, it's good to be bilingual.
well, yeah, down here too.
But we only would
So you're not that
require
different.
French, right? Because we only have one province that speaks primarily French, right? Like if you go to Quebec, you're gonna go to Montreal, you're gonna get friendly French people that speak English and French.
I mean,
But the further north that you go in Quebec, you're gonna find French-speaking people that do not like English-speaking people, or do not like to talk in English.
yeah, I mean, I understand that. It's just like down here. Our
Really?
our core language is English, just because we're an English speaking country. But I mean, I can understand that. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, what? Why were they teaching you French at such a young age? That's crazy. 'Cause, I mean,
Because the
we didn't
political,
start. We didn't.
we do agree that the public school system is a government generated factory system of creating drones. Would you not agree? Right. So my government required that its drones that it was creating through skilled trades and other things required by bilingualism as like a thing that they promoted because it was far easier to have two different types of languages that you could speak to give you more profit in your pocket, I guess.
No, no. That's the reason why the schools run off the 1830s, the 1840. I mean, the schools, our Common Core school system runs off the
But
Persian
like when I
schooling
was in
system.
grade 2 and grade 3, we were learning French. Like basic French. How to say je m'appelle J. Like my name. Comment ça va? Ça va bien. Comme si comme ça. Things like that. Just things that would, and then It wasn't until junior high in school where it was like a selective elective. You know what I mean? Where you could like bow
Yeah.
out of learning French anymore, right? But you did have to learn a different language. And I'm kind of happy in this generation that we have because my kids have way more options of languages that they can choose from, including the native languages, which are dying off slowly, unfortunately, in this world.
Yeah, but I
Like
mean,
pre and pseudo, and that stuff is important for our west side of this hemisphere, right? Keeping those languages alive and that culture still living.
yeah. Well, let's see what else he has to say. Like I said, I'm not gonna go
Your
through
thoughts
all of
on
it.
that? Kind of the corruption in the school system in a way. They're teaching some pretty bad stuff in there.
It's been brainwashed to a certain extent. Even the teachers have been brainwashed. They've learned from a long time. This is long before me. This liberal way, or now they call it progressive. They don't like the term liberal. You're not allowed to use
Well,
it.
he just lost teacher
But
union.
this liberal way that they have, and it's a bad thing for the country.
No, actually, the teacher
we want to
union
have,
was.
we want to have low taxes. We want to have great schools, really, great schools, so you can go and learn and be successful and have a wonderful life and all of that. But we want to have a good military so we can protect ourselves,
Of course.
from some bad players. You got some bad players out there. And it's interesting. During my 4 years, we had no war. Other than we had nothing. Everybody was afraid we were going to have wars, and just the opposite. North Korea. I remember Barack Obama was telling me, "Oh, the biggest problem we have is North Korea." I didn't have a problem with North Korea.
No.
Big nuclear presence. I didn't have a problem. The only war we had was already started long ago, and that was ISIS, and I defeated them in a very short amount of time.
I remember.
Very quickly. And we had no wars under the Trump administration, and that's a great thing. That's a really great thing. It was, I think, 82 years.
Is ISIS still around,
And we
Google?
won't have wars again, but we could have a.
ISIS, yes,
They're still around, right?
yes.
Okay, so he didn't.
Well, he got
Like,
rid of he got rid of the leader, but
But-
the it's just like the head of a snake. You cut the head of a snake off, one just grows in its place.
So you can't really claim that you've.
He eradicated it when he was in office because they didn't start coming back out until but probably close to they didn't start raising their head up again until closely to the end of his administration again. I mean, it's a terrorist group.
Were there any ISIS situations while Trump was in?
Number of months. We have 4 months, and the election's starting very soon, and I guess 5 months before you actually get in. And a lot of damage can be done in 5 months by incompetent people. We have very incompetent people right now. And I'm not saying that out of happiness. I'm saying that out of sadness. Our people, a very dangerous city, and now it's very safe. In fact,
A lot of crime. So what President Trump? What do we do to fix that issue? What if I happen to be born in another country and I want to come the right way? How would that work?
well, that's what we want. We want people to come in, but they have to come in through a system, through a legal system. And, one of the things that's unfair is we have hundreds of thousands of people that have applied to come in, and this administration doesn't talk to them.
Right.
But if they walk through the southern border, they have no problem getting in. I don't
Right.
even know why they're doing this, but some people are waiting 10 years to come in, and they've studied, they learned all about the United States, about our Constitution, about everything, and
Right.
they're not being let in, and we're allowing people to come in from really rough places, really bad places.
I wonder how easy it would be for me to take like a cruise ship all the way to the southern border, and then because I'm Canadian, somehow get to the Mexican-American border and try to walk across. What would happen?
Probably nothing. He'd probably be able to get across.
Yeah, but I would be an illegal
Alien,
immigrant.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what the whole comment is about immigration. I mean, this isn't nothing new. Immigration's been a problem for a long time. I mean, it's right now is because they dropped the requirements of getting into the United, or dropped the ability to cross that borderline. Because before it was always, they had the border control agents at the border. They had not enough, but they had enough to control the influx. But see, the ones that are coming across the border now aren't all from Mexico. You're getting people coming in from all these other different countries that's what I'm saying. You'd be able to get in because you've got all these different countries come walking through the border. You've got, the what is the ones that are having the issues now over there, like in the Ukraine, or not Ukraine, but in the UK. But you've got all these, like, anybody that in any country is able to walk through. Anybody and everything is anybody that is any nationality is able to walk through the border down there now. I mean, not as easy as it was a few months ago because, he did put a stop to how many people could come through. But there wasn't a stop. When Biden came in, he dropped Trump's policy on immigration. Therefore, it allowed all this influx. I mean, that's the reason why we have what they say over like 7 million immigrant people here that did not come across legally. And I'm a firm believer. Yes, come to the country, but you got to do it legally. You got to go through the process like everybody else did, like they did at Ellis Island when everybody was flooding in from Ellis Island. They had to go through a process to become, a citizen. They just didn't get to jump off the boat and boom, here I am. They had to go through Ellis Island and go through all the stages of Ellis Island before they were finally released off Ellis Island to get into the country. And we have, I had this debate once before with an ex-coworker of mine because her grandparents were from Mexico, and they were, they came across when there was an influx of everybody, and they never got like citizenship or anything else like that. Well, I guess, yes, they did. They got citizenship, but there was a whole divide. I remember this. It was a whole divide. I think it was like the division down in Arizona a few years ago where there was protests going on. You had one side protesting for, allowing them to have all these benefits and everything else. And then you had the other side that was the same, the same culture that was sitting there protesting not to do it because, these people had to do it the legal way. They had to go through the process. They had to get the green card. They had to take the citizenship test. They felt it was unfair.
Yeah, that's why you guys had that's why you guys had residential camps. Like they had camps for Italian people. They had camps for people that were from Poland and Ireland, all over your country during that time.
No, this was just like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I'm not talking about during World War II. We didn't have intern camps. We haven't had intern camps in a long time.
But you did. But I mean, the United States did have intern camps
during World War II.
Time. Yeah. What? Which one are you talking about? Where they?
I'm talking about the one that was about like in the 90s.
Oh, I didn't even know that you guys had another one where people showed up.
There was a riot where people were. No, I was saying there was a riot between the ones that were here illegally and the ones that were here legally, because the ones that were here illegally weren't getting the benefits of the ones that were here legally, so they were pissed off about it. So the whole concept it's just like, and she was having a hard time understanding. It's just like, okay, your grandparents came over here, but they came over here and they got their papers or their citizenship and everything else when they got here. Now the argument is these people that are getting the free health care, that's just it. They get free health care. They get, assistance, they like food stamps and everything else. Hell, there was one person they just showed here recently. They accidentally left the receipt back. She had like $13,000 worth of food, or $13,000 worth of food stamps and like $5,000 worth of cash on her government card. That's just crazy. I can't even fucking find a job, but here they're out there going, and getting all this government assistance. It does get kind of irritating, and that's the reason why we're such in a deficit right now, is because we're handing out all this money to all these illegal immigrants.
So you can't apply for unemployment?
No.
Why can't you apply for unemployment if you're working?
Because of the way I was let go. Oklahoma's a no contract state, so that means you don't have the right to work here.
Right, but they did give you a severance pay, right?
My last paycheck at $200. We're not like Canada. When you get fired, you get fired. You don't get shit. I was lucky to get the $200 paycheck. Right now, I'm living off the $5,000 I had in my retirement account. And plus my wife's paycheck.
See, that to me is scary, man. Like the fact that like I worked at a place as a welder, skilled welder, even though I don't want to do that anymore. I worked it hard. I did exactly what they asked me to do.
But the government pays you.
But right, okay, so we have
government-
taxes taken off
Well, so do
that
we.
allow me that while I'm working to be able to apply for what's called employment insurance.
We do too,
So-
but if there's certain things that disqualify you from it, and these employers, especially in these states that are classified as work at will states or no contract states, that's what's
So
screwed up.
you can't go to like a labor board or anything.
Oh yeah, if I have an attorney, if I hire an attorney to
wow,
fight it,
really?
because there's so
Wow.
much red tape, and I have no idea about labor laws. When it comes to fighting them.
I mean, if Canada is a socialist country, I like some of the programs that we have done.
I mean, you're government run and government controlled. You're government puppets up there, yeah. Because of the fact
Well,
that
like
they
it seems
bribe
that
you.
you're more of a
But I mean,
puppet than
I'm not
am
saying it's a
when I'm
bad
getting
thing, but
things from my government and like the ability to still live if I lose my job. It doesn't seem
yeah,
to
but
me
it's supposed
like
to be
I'm
like
a puppet.
it's supposed to be like a temporary thing. No, I agree. It's screwed up. The fact of the matter that
I mean, you
rather
gotta
than work at will.
Go and find an attorney and spend money on a retainer just so that you can fight in your labor. Like like our labor laws here, we have like a labor board that which is government run, but it through our province. But like if my company screwed me over, it's one phone call, and then they're investigating that company. I had it happen to me at
Well, let's say screw you
company
over.
that was
Yeah,
taking
but
money off of my paycheck for depositing my paycheck, which
But
is
see-
against the
but
law.
see here in Oklahoma, your employers don't have to have a reason to fire you for one. They can just sit there and say, "Okay, we don't need you no more. Bye."
Wow, man.
Not every state's like that. Just certain states have that type of structure, and that's what they're trying to
That's
get
more
rid of.
control. That's more control and fear than what I deal with. Like, yeah.
But
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
no,
Let's go on with this video,
I'm
man.
worried.
I want to get most of this done. I want to see.
They
his
come in through
opinions.
caravans, and these caravans have 10, 20, 30,000 people. And they're
Wow.
pouring through Mexico.
That's crazy.
And Mexico was great when I was there. They were helping us. I had stay in Mexico. You can imagine what that is. That means you have to stay in Mexico. You can't come into this country until we approve you. They gave it up. Now they just walk right in. They had catch and release. We had catch and release. That's you catch a criminal and you release him into our country. I said, no. We catch a criminal and we release him into Mexico. I think you feel better about that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's one of those things. There's so many things. They are so bad. It's like amateur night. It's either amateur night or they want to destroy our country.
Right. Do you what do you think about what's going on in Venezuela? The whole situation out there.
Well, I know it very well. And Venezuela is right now being run by a dictator. We were enemies with Venezuela. Venezuela was going to collapse, and people could have gone back to Venezuela. They're in our country now. They've released tremendous numbers of criminals into our country. If you look at Caracas, it was known for being a very dangerous city, and now it's very safe. In fact, the next interview we'll do it in Caracas, Venezuela, because it's safer
down.
than many of our cities after they've released their criminals into all of our cities.
Yeah.
And I'm kidding.
I know.
The reason I have to say that because the fake news media knows that too, but they'll say, he suggested they go to Venezuela. They are so bad, it's hard to believe. But anyway, so Venezuela, their crime is down.
And seeing a lot of what you call rhetoric and stuff like that, he does that on purpose. He makes stupid comments on purpose just so the media has something to fucking fly off of. Because he knows he's testing the media when he says that. Because some of the media will take that and totally spin. I guarantee there'll be clips of that clip coming out probably sooner or later to exactly what he said about how he says, well, they need to go to Caracas because it's more safer than, that'll be another campaign bash. But I mean, he's true. I mean, the whole immigration thing. I mean, it's not nothing. Like I said, immigration is nothing new. We've always had an immigration problem. And that's just because so many people know the government pays them. You know, because they'll hire you for a job because legally we can't ask you if you are legal to work here. You know, we can't. Employers can't ask that. They can, you know, once they find out that you're not legal to work here, then they can.
So
you
on
know,
your
let you go.
application, like if you filled out an application, there's not okay. So up here in Canada, if I fill out an application, there is a portion of it that says, are you entitled to work in Canada?
There are now, but before there wasn't. Now I've noticed on all the applications that I've been filling out, it asks if you're authorized to work in the United States.
Okay.
But before, when I first started, you know, back when I was working, you know, when I was management and hiring people, we were not allowed to ask that, you know.
Yeah, but that was kind of like a thing that was added in the 2000s, or started being integrated into companies in the 2000s through sexual harassment and
No,
bullying and
I think
things like that.
I think the whole thing about asking if you were legal to work in the United States just came out in the last few years.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Give me
because we have to fill out another form called an I-9 down here, which is an immigration status form. Everybody fills one out, you know. So
Won't be prosecuted, so that if they get nabbed, they say,
if you guys have any comments whatsoever on Rumble, X, and YouTube, if you guys have any comments or any questions you want to, you know, talk about or anything like that, just fire them up in the chat and we'll talk about them.
no, it's less than whatever it is, $1,000.
Right.
And she started the concept of that, and it's now spreading. Our country, we need strong leadership. We didn't have stuff like this. You know, when you look at what's happened to this country, and you look at other countries, crime rates all over the world are down. You know why? Because they're all dumping their bad people, their prisoners, and all of the people that are bad. They're not only the people on the streets, the people that are in jails. You know what they save by doing that? But they're dumping their prisoners and their criminal elements. They're dumping them into the United States of America. And our crime is going to go through the roof. It's going to go through the roof. And, you know, if we...
I mean, why do you think other countries have closed borders? Why do you think other countries have a process that you have to go through to get in? I mean, you can't walk in. And that's what always cracks me up. You can't just walk into any other country. You have to have papers. You have to show proof of who you are. I mean, I couldn't walk across
that
Canada.
wasn't existent. That was not existent until September.
You've always had to have a
9/11.
passport to go. You've always had to have a passport to go to Canada.
What? No.
Yeah.
The passport thing. I could go to the United States with my driver's license prior to
maybe.
to 9/11.
But what I'm talking about, when you go to these other countries, you've always had to have a passport.
Yeah,
That
like
just didn't start
if
after
you went over
9/11.
the seas. No, yeah, if you went overseas, you needed a passport.
No, I mean,
Here.
even going down to Mexico, you had to have a passport. All these people that went
Yeah,
to like
I mean, but
Cancun and stuff
to-
like that, you had to have a passport.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Like
And
most of the
going into
places
Canada, you've always had to have a passport because you're traveling into another country. I mean, they might have tightened up on the regulations after 9/11. They might have not been
What
so
year
lenient.
did Canada and the United States start using passports for border? 2009. The rules changed for Canada's crossing with the U.S. border by land and water. A regular driver's license and birth certificate could no longer be accepted.
Oh, but you still
Canadian
have to show proof of
citizens
ID,
would
though.
have to present one of the following pieces of identification, and it was a passport.
Which, when you file for passport, that's all you have to do is show identification and birth certificate and
Right,
proof of
but
residency.
at the
which is
same
the
time, though,
thing.
we had there was a deal between the United States and Canada that we didn't require a passport to go from land border.
What I'm
across
saying
the-
though is the process to get a passport is you just have to show them proof of identity, your birth certificate, and who you are. That's it. So basically, it's eliminating two pieces of information and put it into one book.
Up here, the passport is a criminal check as well, though.
Well, yes, but it's still they do a background check on you as well.
Okay, so a driver's license or a birth certificate
what I'm
would
saying
show
is
that
you couldn't just walk across. You had to prove who you were to get across.
Yeah, no, I'm
it's
not
basically
arguing with
it's
that.
basically the same thing as a passport. You had to prove who you were to get across. You were never able to just like walk from the United States into Canada and Canada and the United States without showing any proof of who you were.
I'm not disagreeing with that. What I am disagreeing with is that by adding the passport to the land border was a thing. All I said was that was a thing that happened during September 11th. Which is
but what I'm saying,
correct.
The
reason why they did that was because they needed the extra fucking intelligence for the criminal check on the passport. Because up here in Canada, you go through a criminal check. You just can't walk into a passport place, hand them your birth certificate, hand them your driver's license or any other photo ID.
10 to 12 days.
Because they got to do a criminal check.
I know. I know that.
But all I said was that prior to that, we, as two nations together,
put that vein back in your head.
Require a criminal check.
All I'm saying is the reason why I made that comment was these people don't have anything to show that they're proof of who they are coming across. So we're the only country that's what my point was. We're the only country right now that you basically don't have to show any proof of who you are to get in here from the southern border because of the policies that have changed over the years. But any other country, you have to show who you are, either by showing your driver's license or showing your birth certificate or by showing a passport. You can't just walk into another country without going through the customs. But now down here, and that's what they're trying to sit there and say is the immigration problem is that there's no way to track these people because they're coming in without any identification. They're coming in without any proof of who they are. Because and that's what he was trying to say. They're dumping everybody on our southern borders because that is the most vulnerable place right now. Because if you come through any other place, there's always a custom check somewhere. Any other, like if you come across from the United States or come across from the UK into the United States at one of the airports, you have to go through customs to get in. You can't just get off the plane and walk to your car. You have to go through customs if you come in from a out of country flight, because you have to declare anything that you bring in. Like if you brought, and they do a whole scan of your bags, you can't bring certain things into the country, vice versa. You can't bring certain things into, the good example was that Turkish country down there that was arresting people for supposedly bringing in ammunition. The U.S. somehow it passed U.S. customs, but it didn't pass their customs coming out. It passed their customs coming in, but didn't pass their customs coming out. That's kind of suspicious on my part that wasn't the setup.
Do you think that I could go to the U.S. border up here in Canada and claim asylum and then take it as serious as the southern border?
What do you mean?
Well,
no, because it's not
Canadians
open.
Influx the northern border. Say Pierre Poilievre gets in power, and there's like half of our country doesn't want to live here no more, and they decide to move down to the United States. Could they not claim asylum?
They can apply for citizenship. It's like everybody else.
What would that process be? Would be it me sitting it on the lawn right between the two countries in a tent waiting for that process to be done, right?
No.
Or what would the two countries do?
If you have your passports, you could come across and then apply for citizenship down here.
Well, if I didn't have identification as a Canadian,
then you probably wouldn't be able to come across.
So what would they do then? What if I said that I don't want to go back to that country?
Well, they'll tell you they'll probably ask you reasons why, and if they figure out that it's something that is worth, they're not just going to accept you just because you don't want to live there. No country will. You got to show proof why you don't want to live there. Like if you're a political prisoner or you're political, you're being hunted. Or, there's different ways of classifying asylum.
What if there's a drug dealer in my town?
Then they'd probably just tell you to move to a different town.
What if because of the drug dealer, I didn't have enough money to move out of town?
Then you need to go down to the southern border and walk across.
Oh,
I don't know how that works up there. I'm just throwing shit out there.
I mean, you know as well as I do that I do agree with you on the whole 80-year bullshit. Like, I do believe that our governments have created the influx of things that have been going on with the southern portions of the country. We have a lot of fucking problems in the world today. Both countries.
Yeah. The only thing is, I mean, I don't get the point. I think these are just more of a personal reference to himself. But I don't understand why he was asking so many questions. We already know what Trump's position is on most of these leaders. This is where, I mean, he did good in the beginning of the interview, and then he went on with the positions of all these leaders. We already know Trump's position on all these leaders. I mean, I think he missed out. I think what he could have done was like took that time and used it on, how he would, would be on policy. Because that's one thing people argue about on X and stuff like that is that Trump has no policies. He's not promoting any policies, which right now he's not. He's more about hate and discontent and revenge than he is anything else. And that's one thing that I was worried about, when it came in, that he was going to be so pissed off that he was going to be more of a revenge tactic than anything else. And there's a lot of people that are for Trump, but they're saying the same thing. They're saying that his focus needs to be turned. And I was kind of hoping that with Adin, being the younger influence and everything else. I mean, I can understand he was like educating people. Like he said, there was people that never even paid attention to politics that are probably watching his stream, which I don't know, since it was on Kick, you can't 100% guarantee that all of those views were real. But the fact of the matter is, I think it would have probably been better over on Twitch, because at least on Twitch, I mean, you literally have to buy views over there to get the inflated views. But I think he should have let off after like I said, he did good. He was strong in the beginning of the conversation, but I think when he started hitting points on the leaders and stuff like that, it seemed like it was just like more of a personal, more of a personal. He wanted more of like his personal wheelhouse to be attended to, instead of like making it known. Because like I said, I mean, I would ask questions. It's like, how would, with the whole Netanyahu thing and the whole Israel and Iran and everything else that's going on right now. See, those are the things that people want to hear. They want to know why the stock market crashed, how are they going to, if he was elected, how would he fix the ability of the stock market to get back up? And how, I mean, because right now, I'm not going to lie, because of the way the stock market is, it's basically repeating itself like it did back during Desert Storm. Stock market, as soon as there was the Desert Storm, the stock market crashed.
You know as well as I do that he probably, or Trump probably, had demands of what questions were to be asked and stuff like that. Like, absolutely.
No,
but it doesn't diminish. Like, I can guarantee you that, like, Adin Ross, you're going to get a pat on the back from Andrew Tate, for changing up your content a little bit, and adding some substance to it, I guess.
But no, I mean, I think he did good. He did good for what he did as a content creator.
But it is,
and to pull some of these people in that have never. I mean, that's my biggest thing. I talk about this a lot on Twitter or on X. Is that there's so many content creators out there, because I came from the content creator world. I still have friends in the content creator world. There's so many content creator worlds out there that have not or don't pay attention to this, and this is affecting everybody right now. The stock market crash is affecting everybody right now. I mean, we lost another $1.3 trillion, I think, in certain stocks over trading this morning. I mean, everything closed out in the red.
Right, but that's companies paying attention to what's going on right now and having fear that this dude is going to lose.
Probably, but it's also the fear
Because
of the
it
war
takes out
pending.
of their pocketbook.
Well, it's the fear of the pending of what's going on. I did find something. I mean, I'm pretty well done with Adin. Like I said, the rest of the stuff he's just all talking about personal objectives towards leaders, which we all know what those are. I mean, anybody that's been paying attention to Trump for this long understands.
Hey, homie, I checked your videos. Seems like you're new on Kick and not only affiliated and verified. I got a proposal for you, buddy. To get the fuck out of my stream.
What happened?
Those bots came in my stream.
Oh.
Yesterday I was having a conversation with one of them and then predicting the next statement.
They're predicting the what?
Predicting the next statement, right? So it came in, it was like, hey, how's it going? I was like, I bet you're going to ask me how the games are now. And then sure enough, the fucking thing showed up. How's the games?
Yeah, I get those all the time. Let's see if I can find this. There was a good explanation, I thought, of.
I Show Speed has been kicked out, been called out on his double car jump that he did.
Yeah.
That's been edited by like one dude.
I mean, it's content, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was too many inconsistencies. I believe it was edited too, but that's just me. But this dude here
fucking tricked me, man.
This dude here, I mean, this guy here, this is Alex and Dean. They're on TikTok. They're always talking about things that go on in a different perspective, and he's talking about why, or they're talking about why the stock market is crashed, and I can understand it, what he's talking about.
Dean, I saw that the stock market crashed in Japan. Why is that affecting us so badly?
It's because of this thing called the carry trade. The Fed started increasing rates over a year ago. Japan had negative rates. So you look at starting from a year ago, you look at how weak the yen was. Japan had negative interest rates. You pay a bank money, you have to pay a bank money to hold your money, for example, right? Negative. And our rates were going up, right? So what that spread caused a demand for Japanese yen. It's called a carry trade. You borrow with yen at a super low interest rate, and you take all that money, and you can put it in fixed income and equities here that are giving you this big returns. It's kind of arbitrage. What happened was, I think that was happening. I've read a lot about, like, Buffett was doing that, and some people at that level were doing that. Institutions were doing that, but the magnitude it did was so big. And what happened was the BOJ, the Bank of Japan, just recently, last week, stopped doing that, stopped buying their bonds, right? So their rates went up, and if you look at the US dollar against the yen tanked. So all these people had short positions over there, borrowing on yen and using the money here, had to cover their trades. So, and that coupled with, like, the concerns about earnings, about growth over here, everything just hit at one time. Everyone had to dump their equities here, dump the tech stocks here out, and all that, and cover their positions in Japan, because the yen the US dollar was tanking against the yen, right? So that all in all has caused a crash. If you look at what happened last night, this morning was like all the Asian markets crashed because of that unwinding of all those positions, all the buybacks, all the short coverings and stuff like that, right? And that pulled all the liquidity out of this market on Friday and this morning, and it tanked us here. There was a big gap to cover over there. Wow. So it's called the carry trade covering. And the magnitude of it was so high, it's affected us, and it's affected the rest of the world in Asia.
Wow.
In a big way. Everyone is tanking right now. Wow. Yeah, so that's what's happening. And that coupled with the fact that we're concerned about rates being overcooked, being held too high, about GDP concerns, unemployment concerns, that and this all happens at one time. You got this kaboom.
And that makes a lot of sense. So if because I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about the European market. You were asking one time, stocks, about how stocks created world, domination. That explains it right there, is because so many people trade on the foreign exchange and they trade over there to the yen. And if it was a lower interest rate or they weren't charging interest on their stock, so that means they were getting 100% of their money every time that they got it. And now that the Bank of Japan stopped that, they started putting rate increases on the yen.
Hey man, I believe that's like a major contribution to you guys going into the Gulf War that you guys went into, is because I believe that Saddam Hussein was threatening to put all his oil money, where he was in power in Iraq, put all that money into the euro at the time.
Yeah,
which would have done the same thing.
This is the whole situation right now because of the BRICS. Between Japan, China, Russia, and parts of the UK, all going into this one.
The BRICS thing that we went through in COVID.
No, BRICS, BRIX. It's basically all these 4 countries that came together and was trying to dilute the dollar. So this is how they did it. This is how they diluted the dollar. They allowed all these people to trade over there on the yen. And just like he said, the yen went up, the dollar went down. So when they when they figured out the dollar was low enough, they imposed these rates on these yen. So that way everybody was freaking, because he was sitting there calling people out like Warren Buffett. He was, these are all high influential people, rich, Warren Buffett's one of the richest people in the world, and they were selling their shit because the US dollar was tanking. It was lower than the yen. So they were losing their money.
Yeah.
So, after listening to this, it's like, okay, that makes more sense. I figured it had something to do with like, something tanking somewhere, but like I said, if you go back to like Desert Storm, I did some research in our it says the leading up to the start of the Operation Desert Storm, January 16th, 1991, the U.S. economy was in a recession, which we were in a mini recession, and now we're going into a hardcore recession. And the stock market had a negative year in 1990. From July 19th, 1990 to October 11th, 1990, the S&P lost 18.4% of its value during the short 3-month period. And then it says that during the 1990 impact on the market, with the S&P 500 dropping 15% in 6 months, allowing an outbreak of conflict. It says in the fortnight preceding Congress approved a Desert Storm, the S&P 500 fell by almost 5%, and oil prices surged 12%. If you all don't remember, when you think you're paying the $3 and now compared to what the the base economy is compared to what it was in 1990, where we were it jumped from what, $1.25 to $2.50 or something like that during Desert Storm, 99 cents to $1. I mean, because I can remember it was 99 cents, and then it started raising to $1.05, and then I think it was like $1.25. It stalled out at $1.25 for a long time, and then it jumped on into where it went up to like almost $2, which would have been like our equivalent to the $3 and $5 we're seeing now in places. So this whole fear of the election, not knowing what is going to happen, people are scared to death what's happening with this election, because there's so many fences and nobody knows which one to go to. And if you notice, this whole shit really started going downhill a lot quicker when they dumped Biden and put Kamala in there, because of the fact that they didn't know exactly. They don't 100% trust the ability of her. They don't. That's the reason why they're pulling stocks, because they do not trust the candidates that are there right now. So they don't know which way to go. And they're looking at polling numbers, just like all these other countries are looking at us too. They look at what we're doing, and that also influences their stock trades, and that influences everything else. But this world is run off of stocks and bonds and money exchanges. I don't care who you are. This is the way this is what the world runs by. It's what I always told people when all this started. I sit there and start paying attention to the stock prices, pay close attention to the dumps and everything else, who's dumping and who's getting out of it. And sure enough, exactly what happened. Every Friday, everybody dumped their stocks because of the fear, of going to war. And then everything else with the inability to anybody to make a decision on who's going to be running for president. This is just a crazy time of year. Now, the biggest thing is, though, now we need somebody in there that's going to pull us out of all of that and be able to do something more positive. Don't know who that's going to be. I really can't say, because right now both sides are kind of like, eh.
I think it's a mistake of the DNC not to consider Pete Buttigieg as a VP candidate.
I think it was a mistake just to not allow somebody to not allow a vote like they did anybody else. They didn't allow nobody to vote for Kamala to be in. They just put her in there. So, I mean, the fact of the matter, there was no official vote, like we do with primaries, who won, like Bush and Trump primary, Trump won the primary on that one. So that influenced the ability to boost his polling
DNC
numbers.
can decide, hey, this is the best for it. And we all agree. So let's do it.
Well, so can the RNC. I mean,
right. They kind of did that with Trump, didn't they?
He was able to debate.
He was in a criminal case while he was being
still
considered
able
for nomination.
Yeah. And look, he was still able to date, criminal case, criminal charge, whatever you want to call him, a felon.
Oh yeah,
whatever,
but he did the same thing.
Won.
Basically, he didn't win nothing. Well,
He
what
won the debate.
did he fight against any other Republicans?
He won the first debate between him
Did
and
he
Biden.
debate?
No, that's what I'm saying. This was a crazy
What
year.
about
There was no actual
Haley?
primaries.
Did he debate Haley?
Yeah, they were all debating. They all dropped out like after the first debate. Do you not remember that?
No, I forgot about.
Yeah, Vivek or Haley, RFK was
yeah.
All of them were like in the first run, or not RFK, but all of them were in that first run.
They debated. I did forget that.
But see, they gave the country the opportunity to make their choice, and they didn't give the opportunity for this to happen. They just threw her in as the wild card, when there was so many other people that were probably more qualified than, with foreign, Buttigieg. If they were throwing Buttigieg in there as a candidate to run, or, they had all these candidates. They had 4 candidates, but they just automatically just overthrew everything and just put her in place. That's the reason why there's so much talk about the fact of the matter that this was already pre-planned. That's the reason why they're calling it a coup. They're talking about the reason why all of this stuff was like, they were all behind Biden in the beginning of the year, all the way up until here recently, is because they were trying to sway public opinion. And I think the only reason why they allowed Trump and Biden to debate when they debated was the fact of the matter is they knew what was going to happen. That was a planned event. They knew Biden was going to fail. So that way, because what happens is, so instead of the DNC, this is just my opinion, but so the way I look at it is that the DNC was looking, it's okay, let's let Biden debate, let him crash and burn, and then let public opinion turn against him. And then that will determine, who we put in there, if we want to do it or not. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, CNN turned on him, MSNBC turned on him, NBC turned on him, ABC turned on him. All the major mainstream medias that are usually Democratic or democratically driven all turned against Biden, like within 2 hours of the primary being over, or the debate being over. So this was a plan. They were sitting there saying, I can guarantee it's the way they worked. It's like, let's let public opinion determine. That way we can sit there and say, oh, we didn't have nothing to do with it. In actuality, that was their whole plan all along. That's the reason why people are calling it a coup, trying to get Biden out of there, because he was dead set. He was dead set 2 hours prior to him dropping out that he was not dropping out. And then 2 hours later, he made that statement
he's
about dropping out.
also, how old was he?
It doesn't matter. I know, but what I'm saying though, this was.
So you're talking to an 86-year-old old man trying to convince him that he's not senile.
They moved the whole idea to the public hands. That way they could wash their hands clear of getting rid of him, is what it was. So basically, they didn't want to take the blame for dumping him because they were afraid they would lose, money. They would lose PAC. I mean, they already lost like $90 million when they didn't, try to throw another candidate in there in the beginning. That a lot of the PAC, super PAC donators pulled out. And I think that's when they started the whole idea of, okay, we need to do something, but let's make it more of the public opinion.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing that the DNC had a different view on things after that first debate, guaranteed. But in the beginning, what I was seeing was that there were senators and governors that were backing Biden because Biden was saying, "I'm still going to run."
Mm-hmm.
But slowly, I think that the other governors that were like, "Hey, look, he is sick."
Yeah, but you still had Pelosi backing him up all the way until the end. You still had Hillary backing him all the way to the end. You had Obama backing him all the way to the end. All these little governors that are out there didn't hold power to what they control, in the media face of things. Pelosi, Biden, or Pelosi, Obama, and Hillary all have political pull when it comes to media. They always have.
Right, but when you got a leader, there is a bit of loyalty, right? So you're wanting to do the best for your leader. At the same time, you're watching your leader dealing with things. So then, in the beginning, I can see that they were for Biden,
but this wasn't in the beginning. This was still up to the 2 hours before he decided to drop out. Those three influential people were still backing him and telling him he couldn't drop out.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing that. I agree with you, but I think that the younger group of senators and governors were the ones that convinced Biden to drop out.
No, I think they just finally told him, it's you either drop out or we're gonna implement the 25th Amendment on you and get you out. I think is what it ended up coming down.
I'm not disagreeing with that because I do believe that was AOC said something about that, right? We need to do this.
Yeah, see, I mean, all those people. I mean, like I said, it came down to the point to where I think they had all their ducks in the row on DNC and what they needed to do, to get Kamala in there. Because I'm not gonna lie, both sides. It doesn't matter who you are. There's a higher power that's pulling the strings. I mean, if you've been in this field long enough and you've understood politics more than a year, I mean, you would understand that there's higher powers pulling the strings on who gets elected and who doesn't. Yes, the votes help a little bit, but it's still, they put people in place that think are going to sway the American people.
How old is Kamala? 50? In her 50s?
Born in 64, I believe. So she's what, 60?
How old is Kamala Harris?
I just told you she's born in 64.
She'll be 60 coming.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, that's only 10 years younger than what it was when Biden was in there. It's only 10 years, 11, 12 years younger than Trump. I mean, it's still not your Gen X president like you wanted.
No, I disagree. He's holding in the hidings, but he's more millennial.
Who?
Pete Buttigieg. I think that he'd make a great president for you.
No.
I do, man.
I'm sure you probably do.
He's a declarated soldier.
But you don't know what. Name me some of his good policies that he's come up with that would make him qualified for president.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Exactly. It's one of those that you're just going by what you see, what talking points. You don't actually see.
Well, when I hear him talk, I hear an intelligent human being.
I know, but this is not like, okay, when you go to a job, you just don't get hired because of your intellectual talk, do you? You get hired because of your experience and what you've done, correct?
Right.
Okay, it's the same thing. He hasn't done anything. You know? It's like Kamala hasn't done anything, worthy of being held as president. I mean, even there's some things that are questionable about even with Trump. I'm not going to lie that, but the fact of the matter is, do I believe that there should have been more candidates? Do I believe, I mean, even like with Vivek, yeah, there was a good chance. I mean, he would have probably been, a decent president if he had any political experience. He's never, that's what I'm saying. You can't just jump in off the street because we already seen that for 4 years. You can't just jump off the street as somebody that doesn't have a political experience or political background and try to be a politician. We've seen that with Trump in the first 4 years on some of the things that he did. So we would see probably the same thing if Vivek ran, and became president. We'd probably see the same thing, other than the fact that he's younger and a little bit more, I don't know if he's so much open-minded anymore after some of the things I've been, hearing. I mean, he's still a good guy, and I still think he'd be a good candidate later on down the road. But, it'd be just like Mr. Beast, go out and get some political experience, get in the political field of things, and understand how foreign policy operates other than just in a business aspect. And now the business side of him and the business side of Trump are a good thing for the country, but the political side should have been just as equal, because I mean, as the country right now, I mean, it is a business. I don't care what anybody says. It is a business in a sense, because you still have profits and losses and gains and everything else. You still have a business structure in the United States, just like every country has a business structure. So if you don't have anybody that knows how to budget money, how to handle money or anything else like that, and is just a gung-ho soldier, nothing against soldiers, but there's got to be some other key factors when you're looking at presidencies. That's the reason why I don't think, like, people say, oh, what about a 35-year-old president? No, they're 35-year-old is barely wet behind the ears when it comes to anything. When I was 35 years old, I fucking didn't know shit, when it came to certain things.
I mean, if you're dedicating your life and manage to get to that position at 35 years old, I imagine that you excel and probably have a brilliant mind and a very high IQ. Are you, like at 35 years old being a senator, you have to have some smarts.
Well, if you can get to be 35 years old and become a senator, then you're stepping in the right direction.
The commitment that you're given.
But how many senators
your own
have
soul
for 35?
Like I truly don't believe that Justin Trudeau got into politics because of just his dad, because he was sworn out not to join politics for like 10 years of it. I think that you just saw a time frame where the older generation weren't listening to the younger generation what we are requiring.
Okay, so right now we only have one senator that is under the age of 40 in the Senate, and that's John Ossoff. He's Democrat from Georgia. He's 37 years
awesome.
old. And I don't know a lot about him, but I know right now Georgia's a big issue right now for what's going on.
I mean, we talked this 80-year grind thing. At what point do we realize that part of that 80-year grind is the youth rising up, the younger crowd rising up? Because we've all had it through our generations. Every single generation had the youth rise up. If you think about it.
Every time somebody makes a noise, my cats hit the door and you go ballistic.
That's okay. It's not that bad.
But no, what I'm not saying that young people can't do it. But, like this John Ossoff, he's doing it right. He's getting into the Senate. And I'm not saying that's, him getting, I don't know too much about him, but yeah, that says the average congressman is 58 years old, which I mean is still not bad, but Let's see who John Osloff is. Yeah, born in 87, American politician, serving as a senior United States senator. So that's a good accomplishment for Georgia since 2021. Was previously a documentary filmmaker and investigative journalist. Born in Atlanta. See, and I mean, I don't understand how some of these people get in there. I mean, when you're running for Senate and when you're running for Congress, it's a popular vote. Yeah, that's what pulls you in. So if you can sway the population to go for you, then you're going to get in. I mean, that's the only thing that really runs off the popular vote is our state and local offices. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, even if you got rid of I don't know. It's just like if you even got rid of the electoral, then you would still have to worry about, corruption in the political or the popular vote because of everything that's going on now about saying that, things are being, faked and everything else, which I think, like I said, the most scariest thing for me is like you talk about AI and stuff like that. That's the scariest thing for me when it comes to like elections and stuff like that, because AI can create so much chaos and discontent in the world. And it is at that juncture right now that it can literally do that. Sorry, I'm talking about how do you spell baloney? Baloney.
What is this tipping thing that you got on here on the title?
Probably will do it. But yeah, so I mean, it's just the idea of AI and everything else able to control what's going on. And we already found that way, like through the Dominion system and everything else. We're finding out now there's more and more whistleblowers are coming out with Dominion sitting there saying that they were required to dump like so many votes out of the system and change so many votes. So for the 2020 election. So it is kind of interesting. The whole tipping thing, you remember that when we were talking about,
and I think then like we'll end with like fucking World War III. Isn't that awesome? We'll end with the World War III.
All right. I know
Let me guess. That fucking video of that chick fucking doing that thing with the big bills being not closed went viral.
No.
She lost her job and now she's suing the state for.
No.
I don't know.
That just kind of disappeared.
Did it really?
Yeah. That wasn't
pretty angry, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't care who you are. That's basically theft in my book. Theft and fraud. So this one here started out. She was given a 10% tip, and she's throwing a temper tantrum.
Right. I don't see it. I hear it.
The group. This is a PSA for anybody that likes to pay for the group tab and act like a baller. Don't pay the fucking tab if you can't tip accordingly. I'm like, okay, so are we splitting the check? How are we doing this? He's like, oh, no, I'll take it. Everyone's like, oh, really? Yeah, I got it. $50 and you leave $5? And I gave you refills and you didn't even ask. Fuck off. This is a PS.
If I saw that on the internet, that'd be the last time I went to that fucking place.
Yeah. Well, and then, you have these intelligent people that pop up as talking about how the, they don't deserve to be tipped,
And if I want to act like I'm a baller and I know that I got $55 fucking dollars in the bank, and I got or $60 in the bank, and I got enough to fucking give like a tip at least. Fuck.
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, this is this is
called
like
a gratuity.
this is like my like rebuttal to the whole comment is like people like this. Probably the reason why they only got $5 is for the matter of fact because either one, they couldn't afford it, but you're lucky to get a tip anyways, so you should be grateful for at least getting a tip. I mean, granted, if they split the checks, you would have probably got more, but the fact of the matter is, it's like, you've got to realize it's like tipping a waiter or a waitress, or tipping your server is not required. I don't believe in that it being required. I don't believe like in the 18% gratuity over groups. I believe that's total horseshit, but I mean, I can see the point because a lot of the times that they will jip them because I feel that tip should be based on the friendly attitude of the server. On the friendly attitude of the server, I think it should be of coming by and checking on you every so often, make sure you're okay. And there is a certain thing to where coming by too often can also turn me off of leaving a tip, but because if you're like annoying as hell and just keep coming by, every 5 seconds, that I've had a few waitresses like that or servers like that, and it's just like, I mean, I still left them a good tip, but I mean, I always tip good. It doesn't matter. It's just like if I feel the service, if you do a good job, by knowing your job, knowing how to treat the customer, and I also pay attention to how you treat other customers around when I go into restaurants. So that leads a lot of it too. But not only that, it's just like I've been a server before, kind of, delivery driver server. I worked for tips. I still do, occasionally when I do my DoorDash thing, I work for tips. And I pride myself on greeting the customer, making sure the customer has their stuff and making sure that, they get it there as quick as possible. My stats on my Dasher app shows that, I mean, I haven't dashed in like 2 years other than what I started here recently, but all my previous stats shows, I was like, I was almost 100% on all my stats.
Mm-hmm.
But and I got good tips. When I used to do it for 2 or 3 hours a night, I used to make $60-$70 a night just running, maybe 5-10 orders, But the fact of the matter is, like I said, tips are not, let's see, I can't remember how I put it. I know I made a comment. Where did I make a comment? Oh, did my comment get erased? Oh no, I put it under here, I think. Well, basically, I made it because, servers, most of the servers, this guy here was just like, couldn't be further. The reason why that sort of comments, it says the industry has somewhat duped customers in directly paying their employees wages so they don't have to. That's what irritated the hell out of me when that dude said that to me, is because, okay, so asking for a tip when the server only makes $2 to $3 an hour most of the time, because that's what we classify as, I don't even know what server wages are in the US right now. Yeah, federal minimum wage for cash wage, or federal minimum cash wage for tipped employees is $2.13 an hour. Employers can claim a tip credit of $5.12, ensuring the total hourly wage meets federal minimum wage of $7.25. So basically what that means is the employer can if you don't make enough to, by the end of the week and pay period, if that server doesn't make enough to equal what you would make at $7.25 an hour, the employer has to pay that equivalency, but they get it back when they file their taxes.
Wow, man, that's horrible to fucking be a waitress in your country, man.
That's my point of this stuff. People don't understand.
Holy fuck.
I mean, even
no wonder you got like young ladies like this that are like upset with that. I can understand that.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, the fact of the matter is, though, but when you're tipping's based on your performance. It's not because of you look pretty. I mean, it depends on where you go. Some guys will tip because the waitress looks pretty, but
How much does a waitress make in Canada?
But the fact of the matter is that, they live off of $2.13 an hour. Sometimes, some places will give you a little bit more but a lot of these places, they make, anywhere from $60 to $75 a night in tips. So, I mean, you can make, it's still, if you're making, you're not going to, you can make a lot of money depending on what style of restaurant you're working in or what type of industry you're working
Holy
in.
man, I'm going to make a lot of waitresses in the United States really angry because up here in Canada, the average salary for a waiter in Canada is around 12 to 15 per hour, and that's not including tips or service charges.
Yeah. I know Chadley, remember Chad, he's a server, and that's what he says. He makes a regular hourly wage.
And apparently the average percentage for Canadian tipping is between 15 and 20%.
Now where California is included, I guess California has a mandate to where minimum wage is $16 for all employees, including those who receive tips. So, that's good. But it's still, even though if I knew that I was making, my server was making an hourly wage, it's more respectful to, like, you're complimenting their service. You're saying they did a good job. You're telling them that, when you give them a tip, that shows confidence in their ability to do their job. Like I said, I look at it that way, but also, like I said, I look at it that most of these states are not like California and don't require the $16 an hour, and they do only pay $2.13 to maybe $3.30. I've seen some pay like $3.33, but then you got to realize you go down to these sit down restaurants, like Applebee's or Outback or anything like that, just those, sit down restaurants, or Santa Fe Steakhouse, these big steakhouse or these big fancy restaurants. Now you've got another thing that's involved, another component that's involved in that waitress bringing you your food. If you are ordering a beer, a wine, or anything else, now you've got the bartender that's involved in your order. So most of these states, most of these businesses, if you're leaving that girl $5 as a tip, she has to split that a certain percentage with the bartender. So she's not getting that full $5. So if you ordered a drink, you're splitting that $5 somehow, whatever percentage the business requires to go to the bartender. So it's one thing.
I remember being a cook and them having tip share. With cooks.
Cooks do too. There's some restaurants that they do all of it. If they have bartenders and everything else, a lot of times too, it doesn't even matter if you order drinks. They just automatically, at the end of the night, they split their tips between everybody, which I don't think is right. I could see tipping your waiter, but most of those waiters and stuff like that, the bartender probably under server's wages, but the waiter or the cook is not under server's wages. I can guarantee it. I guarantee the cook is probably under a minimum wage standard. So like I said, with these people arguing the fact of the matter that, tipping, you see it all the time. It's just like you see, like when you go to like our drive-in restaurant down here called Sonic, you go up to Sonic and right there, it allows you now to add tip to the kiosk. DoorDash, you can add tip. Like I said, usually
Is there a way to send me some Sonic? I've never ever in my... No, man. Like, is there a way that, like, maybe Sonic's got the ability to deliver to my country now?
No. I don't know if we'd be able to deliver food across your country.
Sonic have frozen food?
No, we'd have to, like...
I see these commercials all the time, and it's like, it makes you hungry watching.
No.
But then I've heard that you get the squirts from Sonic.
Yeah, it depends. Some of the shit depends on what time of day you go. We figured it out. We don't eat their chili dogs after 5 o'clock. because most of their chili and their hot dogs have been sitting there since lunchtime.
What? So it's like pre-made already? Like,
yeah, whatever they, like whatever they have left over for their lunch rush, they leave a lot of it in the steamer because you can always tell because the hot dog is always like wrinkled up and shriveled up.
oh my god!
And their chili tastes burnt.
They're okay, but their milkshakes look fucking phenomenal, man. Their drinks look good. See,
Yeah, I know,
Sonic reminds me of the old A&W kind of style.
Well, and that's
without
the way it was.
roller skates.
It was a drive-in. Literally, you had still today. They have some restaurants that still use the car hops on roller skates to bring you your food. But I can remember like growing up. When I first got my driver's license and stuff like that, and going out cruising, we had a Sonic, and that was like. I mean, it did. Back when growing up on our streets, it looked like the '50s cruise spots that you would see in the movies. That's the way our streets look. You'd have on Friday and Saturday nights, and almost every night during the summer, you'd have kids cruising up and down the main strip every night till, midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But Sonic was the place to go because, you could pull into the slot, or you could pull over to the side of the deal and, meet up with your friends. I mean, I know a lot of people, like the adults, didn't go there on Friday, Saturday nights because it was always full of kids, but they used to come out and bring the little tray and hook it on your window and everything else. And it was pretty cool, and that was the meetup.
My hangout as a kid was 7-Eleven.
I mean, we had those
7-Eleven.
too.
Or like we had
Quick
community
Stop.
centers.
We had a big ass parking lot in front of one of our museums up there. And that was where we always met. Everybody congregated there every Friday and Saturday night, and just about every night during the summer. That place was full.
Here in where I live, we have the thing called cruise night on Sunday nights, where like everybody with like nice cars will go parading their cars down Portage and Maine, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we just did it as that was our way to interact with everybody. And we were in a small community. I can see like some of the bigger communities like LA and stuff like that always had problems. But our community was small. So it was just like, a way to hang out with friends on Friday and Saturday night. The cops knew where we were, because 90% of us were all in that parking lot. They didn't have to worry about us going out and vandalizing shit. When we got chased out of the parking lot, we'd always find a farmer's field out in the country, and we'd always have, a keg party out there or something. But no, I mean, like I said, the whole thing with tipping is just like, come on, y'all need a tip. I don't care who you are. I mean, if the waiter or if your server is doing you good and is treating you well and is doing her job to her abilities or beyond her abilities, fuck it, leave her a tip, leave her a thank you. If you don't believe, it doesn't matter if she's getting a full minimum wage of $16 an hour or whatever. If she or he is doing their job, leave them a fucking tip, dude. Leave your delivery drivers a tip. Because you know how much they have to fight through traffic and everything else to make sure you lazy ass that's sitting at home to get your food, You're paying for the privilege of having something delivered to you instead of getting out of your house and going and getting it. Like I said, when I DoorDash, I always pay them the minimum on the app. And then when they get here, if everything's right and everything else, and if they're pleasant when they, if they act like a human being when they deliver my food and it's all not like the bag's not tore up or leaking or anything like that, or, everything's in it, I always usually end up giving another $5 tip. So, because I know.
Stay silent, sir. I plead the fifth on any talking about tips.
Why? Are you one of those that don't like to tip?
No, it's not that I don't like to tip. It's sometimes I can't afford to tip.
Well, I understand that too. I mean, and I feel bad when I can't tip. I mean, I'm not saying I do it every single time because there's sometimes I can't afford to tip.
Yeah. But,
I mean, I'll at least try to give them, if it's on my debit card, I'll try to give them a couple of bucks, but I usually don't carry cash. So, oh, there was one thing I know that popped up. Oh, we'll talk about World War III here real quick. I don't know. I haven't paid attention to it today much. I kind of got burnt out last night watching about everything, so I don't know exactly what all is going on. I know we have got, that we put all of our resources over there right now. Let's see what's going on.
Well, you guys got a bunch of ships that are in the ocean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that that's going to be like a decoy. In other words, trying to get Iran and a reason basically to be able to start a conflict.
Well, I know Iran said that they don't care. Yeah, they said they didn't care who was there to back them or what. Because I mean, they're martyrs, anyways. I mean, they don't give two shit about their people because they're all raised to be political martyrs. I was trying to see if there was anything new out. I think everything's basically the same as it was yesterday. Nobody's doing anything. I know what was it, Friday night? I figured out what you were talking about, the Iron Dome. Yeah, they did try to launch some missiles into. I didn't realize they did that. I didn't see that. I mean, everybody's just kind of like not talking about it right now. So I don't know if there's anything actually going on. Because I mean, there's not a lot of people talking about it, so I don't know what's going on. But I mean, my personal opinion is like, yeah, we can go over there, sit there in the ocean, and show that we're there to defend if anything happens. Hopefully, it will deter any conflict. But I think what the fact of the matter is that, I mean, they've already threatened to do it. They were supposed to have done it like before 5:00 this evening, and there's still nothing being done. I honestly, I'm kind of curious now. I wondered if Iran even has the capabilities like everybody thinks they do.
So, what I know so far, what I've heard is apparently Biden right now is in talks with his administration, right? And apparently, Kamala Harris got kicked out of the situation room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. That is an interesting take.
That's what I just seen on here.
Yeah. I didn't get a lot of chance because I don't know why, but I've like.
You gotta apologize that on my internet I see a lot about WWE right now because WW Raw is on right now. So I gotta cipher through this.
I gave myself a mental break. I actually watched SummerSlam. Recorded.
Did you?
SummerSlam.
Holy shit!
I watched the first part of it.
Pretty good, right? Pretty good, man.
Well, I mean, it's gotten a lot more entertaining since back in the day. But
Paul Logan was pretty good in there, man.
Oh, I just watched what's
pretty
her name?
Athletic dude.
Ivy and the Gothic chick. I just watched them too.
Oh, you watched oh my god, Liv Morgan.
Yeah, Liv
and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
great game. That was a good one too.
Yeah, that was good entertainment. I'm not gonna lie. That was a good. It cracks me up. It's just like, but the thing I look at is I sit there.
You know,
and
what's funny about that? What's funny about that is Dominic. Okay, the young dude that's in there, right? Dominic. Every time that he grabs the mic, he's making money when the crowd stops him from talking.
Oh yeah,
right? Because the crowd will get so loud to like interrupt him, right? And they'll keep his mic at a certain level so that you can barely hear what he's screaming, right? But he's making buck. He's making buck right now. Every time that they do it.
Oh yeah, it's just like I was watching the WWE camp where they're, where they have this thing to where they have this series to where they pick the next people to go into the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this camp of like 50 some people from different walks of life, from gymnastics to, you know, wrestling to cheerleading and all that, and they compete to see who's going to go.
Yeah, they started that back in the day with the Miz. Actually, was the first contestant that actually lost the competition, but they liked his charisma so much that they hired him on afterwards.
That is interesting, though, that she was kicked out of the Situation Room.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. But now I'm trying to find it. I can't find it.
It says reports have emerged suggesting that Vice President Kamala Harris was kicked out of the Situation Room during the meeting. This claim has been circulated on social media with specific posts noting the intent, but without providing detailed content. However, prior to this, it was reported that both President Biden and President Harris were scheduled to meet with national security officers in Situation Room to discuss the escalating tension in the Middle East, particularly regarding Iran's threat to retaliate against Israel. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't 100% believe what the fuck you see. You know, and it did come from Fox News, so I mean...
Yep, it looks like we've got.
Oh, what? Fox News is not credible now?
None of these. I've never said any of these places were.
Yep, it looks like I can see behind the camera. The vice president's vehicles are leaving right now, so it would seem that at least her part in the Situation Room is done. She will now go back to the Naval Observatory.
It was an intense moment for the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, and I was in almost every meeting with the president.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the meeting's over in the Situation Room.
Correct. We've got a sizable motorcade.
So the speculation that she was kicked out because she left. I mean, they might have. I mean, she might have sat there and started doing it is what it is and what it has been, and they said, bye, see you. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's where the speculation came from, is from that report, because they saw her vehicle leaving.
So Iran and Libya have not done anything yet. They have not done anything.
Well, no. I mean, they fired those rockets, those drone attacks, I guess what it was Friday night. But you think, you know, that's one thing I was looking at. It's like, okay.
What about the video that they showed apparently yesterday that you showed there, where like all these trucks have drones on them and stuff like that?
Oh, that it was like I think it was like a propaganda advertisement. What it was. Yeah, I mean, it's no different. I mean, all this shit's just like it stems back from like the days of Vietnam, you know, with Hanoi Hannah and everything else. I mean, we were dropping like during Vietnam, we were dropping propaganda pamphlets into Vietnam and everything else, and Hanoi Hannah was, you know, blasting. You know, she was sitting there making recordings, and they were blasting them out on the loudspeakers to everybody. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, that's how wars are fought nowadays, or back then, you know, is just like propaganda this, propaganda that. And I think the whole idea with the ability of social media now to just freaking publish whatever the hell you want to publish, as long as it's not like turning into hate speech or anything else. I mean, they can't. I mean, I'm all for free speech, and I'm grateful for Elon and Rumble and all of them, but there's still, you have to have something that regulates the misinformation. I mean, I know X has community notes, but half of those people on community notes don't community note half of these people. You know, they don't try to sit there and correct some of the shit that they say. I mean, I do. When I see something that I know that I have read or if I've researched and I see a comment that I know about, I will jump on there and say, no, you need to go back, and I will throw links in. You need to go back and look at this and look at this and look at that. You know, I'm not a community noter, but I try to community note as much misinformation as I possibly can. Because a lot of people do it for content. They do it for clicks. They do it because, you know, I think the whole idea of, you know, Elon monetizing anything over 5 million impressions nowadays, you know, you get to be in the creator program and you can get monetized. And some of these people are dropping down, you know, $200, $300 or $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 checks every week just by posting on X, you know, because they're hitting 100,000, 200,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, you know, views on their posts. So you get paid, all these little ads that you see pop up in between some of these posts. They don't look like ads, but they're ads. And every time you scroll past that ad, it creates an engagement. Anytime you scroll past anything on Twitter, you don't have to land on it. You don't have to click on it. You just have to scroll past it, and it becomes an engagement. So I think with that, I think it's just, there's a lot of people providing misinformation on the thread of almost just being totally false with a little hint of truth, just so that they can get those clicks and engagement rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like drama alert. I call it drama alert constantly. I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me yet. But again, you call them out, it also engages, they'll engage with your post because you're at the top. I mean, there's a lot of posts that I've engaged with drama alert that I'm still at the top comment because I've got the highest engagement because it's ranked by engagement. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how people have created social media into what we once used to call yellow journalism, which is still illegal, and still misleading. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I thought there'd be more to report on other than just because I've got there's live cameras on YouTube. You can watch some people that put live cameras up of certain areas.
Put one of those up, see if there's anything going on.
There's not. I'm watching them right now on my other monitor. There's nothing going on. So this
Maybe
was a
she
picture
got
of the
kicked out
situation.
because she fucking saw him sleeping. Jeez, man. He's
This early
sleeping again.
briefed in a situation where it develops.
You can leave.
We received updates, threats posed by Iran and its proxy. I'll say, okay, so when would you, a situation room, I'm sorry, when would you allow a camera into a situation room? That's just crazy. I can understand, well, I guess it did come from his account, or from the POTUS account. It says we're also steps away from taking to defend our forces and respond to any attack against our personnel in any matter, any place of choosing. Yeah, I think the only reason why I think it's really scary about the whole thing with Iran is because we do have, we don't have the leash on them anymore like we used to. When that Iran nuke deal went south and Trump discontinued it and Biden never re-upped it, so they've had almost 8 years to create their nuclear program, which I think what I was reading before the nuclear deal went down, I think they had like 60% stockpile, I think is what they were allowed to have. And they had that 60% stockpile of uranium, and they only...
Does Iran have nuclear weapons currently?
Nobody knows, because they stopped allowing them to come in and do the inspections. The thing that scares me the most is they did please let me say I bookmarked this one.
So back in that time, they had enough to produce 5 fusion devices.
Yeah, and that was prior to the deal going south. So now just imagine 7.5, almost 8 years later, how much they could have in production now. I just hope we don't go after. I just don't hope after this is settled, or if it does get settled, hopefully it just doesn't happen like it did with Desert Storm, like with Shock and Awe, where we went in looking for weapons of mass destruction. I don't want to go in there and have the same screw ups that happened during that catastrophe, of trying to mislead the public for going in looking for something that they know didn't exist in the first place, so that they could secure rights to the oil wells and everything. That's the only reason why we went back, is because to secure the rights to secure the oil wells, so that way nobody could take it, so we could, press more sanctions on them. We have sanctions on the oil still, but we don't have any idea exactly of how much nuclear power that they have or nuclear capabilities that they have, because they stopped refusing inspections, or they started refusing inspections. So our inspectors can't go in there, or the UN inspectors can't go in and inspect. Which, I mean, the deal's not in place anymore. I mean, they actually have every right, but I was trying to see if that one. I'm trying to look more into this. We'll talk about, like, what is it, the thug dude, the one that's on trial now for Rico down there in
One that they mentioned in the video, Young Thug or whatever.
Young Thug, yeah. I mean, that's a thing.
Man.
It's a thing it's a rapper. It's been going on for a while. It's like it's that case where they tried to arrest him and accuse him of knowing what was happening to some of these people because they were in the lyrics of some of his songs. I mean, this case has been going on for, like, I think over a year. Huh. There's so much shit on my timeline. Just trying to find that one. Come on, refill, reload. Do. Crazy. Damn, how far back? It wasn't that far back, was it? Holy shit. I don't remember what the hell I was looking for now. But no, like I said, I think with the whole thing with World War III, I mean, yeah, I think the threat of it is what helped the stock market and the yen and everything else, because I think everybody's scared to death of what they're wanting, what futures holds. I mean, I was literally looking at my bank account, every so often today, just to make sure I still had money in it, just to make sure the bank didn't link up and close out. But that's just it, sooner or later, if that happens, if it attacks our structure to where it creates a panic in the financial district that bad, banks could stop letting you withdraw certain amounts of money.
Yeah, but do you really believe that the supreme being or the supreme leader of Iran is thinking that if he does anything too drastic, how badly that is going to cause him to, because he's not going to be able to wipe out the UN, that's for sure. If he manages to get a missile across Israel, he's going to do a lot of damage, and then the UN is, you know what I mean?
He doesn't care. I mean, they're martyrs. That all they care about is getting revenge for the death of that Henya or dude that got assassinated. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything.
That's true. Then why would they sit down and talk? Because obviously that's what they're doing right now. Phone call rise, right? Zooming and shit like that.
Well, I'm sure they probably want to come up with some solution, but they already sit there and said, what's his name already said that there was no solution. I mean, you've got their people sitting there trying to say, hey, we need to talk this through, but he's the leader of the country. If he says do it, they're going to do it. I don't think they're directly talking to him. I don't think they're directly talking to him. They're talking to his attachés and everything else, the people that are below him. The ones that try to persuade him, but I think it's more of a stall tactic than anything else. And it could be just an implied threat. But this war between Iran and Israel has been going on for years, But I think the whole matter of fact, the reason why we're so involved right now is because of the fact that there may be nuclear, they may be nuclear, So for us to not allow that to go any further than over there is, I think, why we're there. I think it's the reason why we really haven't done nothing. The reason why we threatened, if there was any indication, that we were going to unleash as well.
Well, I know Canada has required everybody that lives in Israel to leave Israel, and same with Iran and stuff like that. They're told to come home now. come on now, right? We're worried about it.
They only have the personnel that needs to be there to run the place. They don't have anybody else there. They don't have any paper pushers there anymore.
I mean, this next week is going to be very interesting. At the same time, I think that your country is people like other countries definitely are taking advantage of the fucking split divide between the two candidates you have. Yeah, like
yeah, they're definitely tight. Like I said, I think it's a wholly reason why everything we're seeing craziness.
I
right
want
now
to
is
see what
because of that
Google
fact.
says here right now. Who's leading between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in the polls?
I think they're tied in most states.
Okay, The Economist, right? The Economist says that she's leading. Oh, it's making me log in if I want to fucking see the rest of the damn thing. I don't want. August 4th, present. This is CNN.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just like she might be leading in the polls, but she's still riding the shirt tails of Biden, you know, because she has no policies to run off of. It's the reason why you go to her website or anything else, she has no policies to run off of.
She's got a lot of women rights policies to run off of. She's got a whole bunch of different
You show me them. They're
ethnic
not on her
groups.
website. They're not listed on her website anywhere.
I mean, she wants to reinstall Roe v. Wade and like make it law of the land.
That would have to go back through the Supreme Court. She just can't snap a finger or wave a wand and be done.
Right, but I think that they're going to be working on trying to have Supreme Court justices have terms.
Well, that's fine,
and then once they do that,
in those 4 years,
I think that once they do that, they could potentially do in lieu of.
The thing is, you got to realize, people have got to realize, it's like all these promises that they make now, they can't be done within. I mean, yeah, they said this is what we're going to do the first 100 years, or the first 100 days. But how many presidents have you known that actually done anything they said within their first 100 days? Not very. There's been far and few between. You know, because all the political red tape and everything else, because they go in there with, you know, balls to the walls thinking that they could change everything right away. And a lot of things don't get changed until like towards the end of the term, because they're right now. I mean, there's still going to be fighting going on no matter what. It's just like with Trump, you know, the whole thing with Trump, if Trump wins and gets elected, it's going to be the whole catastrophe that we've seen the first 4 years. The Democrats are going to be fully focused on getting him out of there, trying to enact the 25th Amendment or the 14th Amendment and everything else. And they're going to be trying to impeach him, you know, and vice versa. The Republicans, if Harris makes it, they're going to be focused on trying to get her impeached. You know, it's not, the political world is not what it used to be. There's no for the people anymore. And I think that needs to stop, because the people are non-existent to them. They don't give two shits about the people. They give two shits about I mean, I know Trump did in the beginning when he first there. He was all about the people, I'll make America great and everything else. I understand that. But now, you know, with his campaign, it's taken a full dump. And that's the reason why, one, she is leading in the polls. I mean, yeah, it is just August. He still has a couple of months left to turn it around. But, you know, just like everybody says, you know, she's always, back in 2020 when she first ran, she was really good the first few weeks of her campaigning and everything else, and then she just totally fell off. You know, so I think that's a lot of the reasons why they're kind of looking at it now.
How do you feel Trump did during his interview with the black
I think it was a setup.
Why would
because you got to understand the United States
set that up?
Because they want him to make him look like a 100% racist, because they don't have anything else to go off of. They just want to make him either a felon, they want to make him a racist, or they want to make him a womanizer or a sexual abuser. They're attacking his personal character without even nobody knows what he actually did politically, because that's what everybody knows. It's what's all over social media. He's this, that, and the other. You know, they don't go into consideration of what he's done for the country when he was president, or even when he before, you know, right after the election, all the stuff that he did or put into play, whether it got accomplished or not is another thing, but he put a lot of shit into play even before he was inaugurated. But the fact of the matter is, all that social media and what you guys, you know, no offense, but that's all you rely on is what you see on social media. You know, you just have certain sites that you probably go to, and that's the sites that pump the most information out to you. But the fact of the matter is, it's an identity. We're playing identity politics right now. That's what it is.
Right. Okay, but at the same time, though, like, you want an answer from your candidate, right? Now, I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is any better than Donald Trump, but at the same time, though, I do believe that Donald Trump has never answered a question.
And you will never see a politician ever in history answer a direct question or give a direct answer to a question. Because if you give a direct answer to a question, you're admitting to something that you can't guarantee 100% about things. You can't answer directly to a question because, one, they'll take that and run with it and say, this is your policies.
So if that's true, then why is Trump going and touting drill, baby, drill?
Because he wants to. I mean, she's even flopped on that one. She wants to reopen fracking again. You know, that's one thing.
See, we don't have fracking. I don't think that we need.
Well, we don't have right now either. Biden stopped that, but that's a conservative side. That's another thing that they're complaining about her, is that she's starting to flip over to a lot of conservative policies, and she's starting to run on these conservative policies to try to sway the conservative vote. And she's starting to talk about opening up fracking again. She's starting to talk about a few other things, but the whole thing with fracking is, you know, that's what they stopped because they thought it was destroying the environment.
I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, I can't really fact check him right now because I'm gonna keyboard fuck. I have to keep on talking to Google.
Why would I make shit like that up, though? I mean, I'm not that damn good.
Does Kamala Harris's... Oh, man, I can't even say it fast enough.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like that's what that came out in the last few things that she says, that she's starting to flip flop on flipping on some of the
Kamala
policies.
Harris want to do fracking again? AP News. Post fracking as a separate.
It says President or Vice President Harris has recently shifted her stance on fracking. Initially, she supported the ban on fracking, as she stated in the 2019 CNN town hall. However, facing the need to appeal to swing voters in the states like Pennsylvania, Harris has reversed her position and no longer supports nationwide fracking ban. You know, so she's tried. I mean, it's a good political thing, but you know, she's moving away from. She's moving into more conservative issues now. So how's that going to affect her in the long run, knowing that she's a flip-flopper, you know, not holding tight to the Democratic values that, you know, the Biden campaign that she was so for and so grateful and said it was so great, you know, and now that she's flipping over to some of these conservative policies that they were totally against during the Biden administration.
Yeah, but maybe that's how she's looking at how to be able to also get her policies across to the other aisle, you know, side of the aisle, you know, in the sense of like, okay, well, obviously I gotta fucking step forward first and provide this, you know.
But if you don't stand true on your convictions and you start flipping over to policies that did you not listen to what I said? It says initially supported the ban on fracking. And now she says she's going to no longer support nationwide ban. So back in 2019, when she was running for president, she said she was for the ban on fracking. And now she says just because she's running in 2024 that she's no longer going to ban fracking. That's a flip-flop.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can consider it a flip flop.
No, it's 100 million% a flip-flop. You can't deny that it's not a flip-flop, no matter, oh, I don't know, it might. No, it's a flip-flop. Whether what she's doing it for or not, if she's doing it, and it says, she says,
how much should the Republicans and the Democrats have to flip flop around to get the bipartisan border legislation that they just recently
I'm not saying that they don't
It's
do
the
a lot of
same
stuff in the back, but yeah, but they're not running for president of the United States, which leads the free world.
Yeah, but if she's trying to get policies for this new
What
Green
policy?
Deal,
What policy? Tell me
Well,
right now.
she-
What policy?
I don't know.
Come on, you know all these policies. That she's doing. You're exactly. I mean, no offense, but you're exactly like
But if
everybody
she
else.
knows that she's
got
got to
all
work
these
with
policies.
conservatives, and yeah, I can see her like bending her opinion on something. Absolutely.
No, it's a flip flop. No matter how you sugarcoat it, it's a flip flop. She's flip flopping on what she said in the
How
beginning.
many flip flops did Trump have?
I don't think he flipped anything to.
Right? Did he build a wall?
Yeah.
He built portions of a wall. Did he build the wall?
He built the wall until he lost the election.
He built portions of wall.
Well, do you not realize it takes more
But he
than just a
didn't
few
finish
years?
the wall. Did
Because
he
he
finish
got
the
kicked
wall?
out of office.
Yeah, but did he not say within the first 100 days of his election
That's what
that
I was
he
telling
was
you in the
going
past.
to
How
build
many
a wall?
people actually hold up to their promises because they realize there's so much red tape?
Well, so he flip flopped
No. How do you flip flop?
because he didn't build a wall.
That's not flip flopping.
He didn't keep up with his promise of building a wall.
Yes. Flip flopping means, okay, I'm going to build a wall within my. Oh, no, I'm not going to build a wall. That's flip flopping, dude. You know that. When you say you're going to do something and turn around and say, no, I'm not going to do it. He never said he wasn't going to do it. So how is that flip flopping?
Because he didn't accomplish it.
That's not flip flopping. But why didn't he not accomplish it? Because he did not get reelected.
Okay. I get where you're going with that. I get where you're going with that. No, I guess it's just I had a different definition of what a flip flop would be.
Flip flop is like, okay, this is my side of things. Oh, wait a minute, I'm flipping it over. This is my side of. That's a flip flop. Not completing something because you're kicked out of office doesn't classify as a flip flopper. That just means you never had the ability to finish it. But yes, he did build portions of the wall, a great big portions of the wall. You know, he had that up. I think the thing that stifled that out was the fact that he turned around and started saying, oh, well, Mexico's going to have to finish, support to finish it. That was what got him torn up on that whole border wall situation, is that he said that we couldn't basically afford to finish it anymore. And that Mexico needed to step up and finish the other half. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't know. Oh my. But no, like I said, the whole idea of
It's all good.
But the whole idea of, flip flopping around, I think is going to hurt her in the end, and it's already showing negative in some of the people that are saying that her flip flopping ideas. Even though, yes, some of the senators and some of the people on the Hill and stuff like that, she had it out there in the hallway, so I stuck it up there to where she couldn't get it. But no, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, all the analysis and everything else are leading to her. But for the fact of the matter is, it's because Trump can't stay on point. I'm not going to lie. Trump cannot stay on point. And there's a lot of people out there that are agreeing with that. He cannot stay on point.
He also flip flops on a lot of things. You
Like
know,
what?
like I've seen him flip flop. Or okay, for instance, the one interview I saw him with at MSBSN when she asks him about the JFK files and everything else, right? He flip flopped that answer, right? In regards to the Epstein files, right? He said in the beginning of the question, he said, "Yeah, I would do that," and then the second part of the question, and then he changed it. And was like, "Oh no, I wouldn't." He flip flopped on that
You're
decision of
just
it.
wanting to see those damn Epstein files just to see if his name's
Absolutely,
on it.
because you've seen audio, you've
You
heard
don't care about
audio phone
anybody else's
calls.
name but his name. You want to see
You,
his name on there.
you've seen, you've heard audio of phone calls with him and Epstein. You've seen photographs of him with Epstein. You know,
I can't say what
hey
happened over
man,
there. I
if
can't say
you're
who
wanting
happened
me
over
to
there.
believe that Bill Clinton, or that Epstein had a picture of Bill Clinton
I'm not
nude,
saying Bill Clinton did
in
anything over
his
there.
house, I cannot not believe that Trump did things over
Why?
there
Just
as
because he
well.
was over there? There was a lot of people. You know how many people said they went to that island and never witnessed anything that happened over there? Every big celebrity, politician, and everything else went to that island.
Mhm.
You know, I'm sure Ryan Reynolds went over there. I'm sure everybody went over there just because that was a party island back in the day. Are you going to be upset if you see Ryan Reynolds' name on that, or all your
Is Ryan Reynolds' name on the Epstein list?
nobody knows who's on the list? That list floating around is fake.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's so hyped up. Oh, that list, it's got everybody's name. That list has been proven as fake. Because the list has, that documents have not been released. The only documents that have been released on the case was that court, or that Florida court ruling.
Right.
That's the
Where the
only document.
photo of like Epstein and Trump and that video of Epstein and Trump talking to each other come from?
Okay, look how many times, we'll go back to Kennedy. Look how many videos that Kennedy and all these other people were involved with. You know, where'd those come from? You know, people, it's videos. Yes, they're going to surface. I'm not saying that he wasn't there. I don't know if he was there or not. I'm sure he probably was, just because he was a big businessman at that time. And like I said, that was a high priority island at that time. I can't say whether he did something or not just by what we're seeing in rumors until the actual hardcore proof. See, I'm one of those people, I need the proof. I don't go off of what people say on social media, because social media lie for engagement. You know,
I'm not disagreeing.
Until I see the hardcore proof that he did anything, you know, and because he was a high celebrity, you already know how other people try to gain money off of the downfall of shit like this here. Oh yeah, he did this to me, or yeah, he did that to me. They do it all the time to try to get a bankroll. They don't, you know, half of them go through, half of them don't, because they realize they're proven false. I mean, you can't believe everything that you read on social media as being truth. That's the reason why
I'm agreeing to disagree, because I do believe that there's a percentage of women out there in situations out there where they feel threatened if they do say something.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I never have disagreed with that. That's just the way the world runs. I mean, that's the reason why a lot of things don't come out into the open. I'm sure, like with the whole P. Diddy thing, I mean, I'm sure there's more people out there that will probably sit there and say, yeah, he did something, if they didn't feel that their life was going to be threatened because of it. You know? But whether he did it or not, nobody knows. I mean, like I said, all we're getting is it's like audio recordings that could be made up and produced, you know, by somebody just hitting their, you know, hand on the wall and making sounds. You know, it's, you don't know because it's a recording. So many people think that they were just automatically in that position to believe it's like, oh yeah, I saw it. You know, I'm sorry, unless I see it with my own eyes, it doesn't exist. And until the day, I mean, even I'm going to have, you know, after, you know, with just the JFK files, for an example, it's just like when the JFK files released, as long as they've been in Congress's hands and the, you know, in other people's hands that could redact shit and take shit out and redo things and everything else, you can't even believe that what we're going to see in 2029, if it does come out, that those are the actual files. Because one, the government's never going to admit to assassinating their own president. You know, it's just like this whole thing with the crooks and the attempted assassination on Trump. We're never going to know the truth. It's going to be locked up into conspiracy theory for the end of time. because the government will never admit that they tried to take out their own president.
Well, they'll admit that they had bad timing and planning and, really bad discretion, which is basically what's going on right now. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. They probably would never. I mean, if people don't know how JFK died, people don't know how Cleopatra died. There's speculation throughout history on how people died. Even Abraham Lincoln, there's still like speculation of how he died.
Yeah, I mean, if you have common sense and you understand how the political machine works, I mean, you can kind of have an idea. But yes, the politicians were involved in all of that. They were involved in Lincoln's death. They were involved in JFK's death. They were involved in Trump's attempted assassination. They were involved. I still think they were probably involved even in the attempt of Reagan. They've created patsies throughout they created, they tried to say John Wilkes Booth was a patsy. They tried to say Harvey Oswald was a patsy. They put the idea of Hinckley being fucking infatuated with Jodie Foster, that he was trying to get her attention type scenario. Who's to say that, it takes, do you not know that? That's the reason why he shot President Reagan, was for the fact he was trying to get Jodie Foster's attention. That's what was put out. Because he had an infatuation with Jodie Foster and was sending her letters.
But that's the same thing that I remember as a kid. I remember John Lennon getting shot because of a book. Because of the guy reading a book, Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like everything. Most of these. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. Look at all of them. Malcolm X. All of them. Those are all part of the government assassination theories too, because of the fact of the matter that they were trying to go against the machine. They were trying to fight the machine that was making these rich people like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the all these people money, that if they disturbed that any way, sense, or form, that they were gonna be bankrolled, or bankrupt.
I think it also had to do with a lot of different types of mindsets throughout the history of our countries that still kept hold in certain areas that were a lot rural, that like weren't impenetrated by like the different ideologies that were growing up in like a larger city.
I mean, look at the civil rights movement. I mean, LBJ took credit for that because of the fact he got it passed, but Kennedy's the one that put it in motion. Kennedy denied, or Kennedy's promotion, or Kennedy's proposal was denied several times because there wasn't enough information in it. But instead of trying to rewrite it and trying to make it better, they just kept denying it, and he never got a chance to actually make it to what LBJ put into policy.
Right. But then that could also be, like he was standing firm on what he wanted in the policy, and they took him out and found a yes man like LBJ to put in what they wanted in the bill, which is,
welcome to Harris.
Welcome to politics.
Well, I know, but we're seeing the same thing happen now because she's a yes person. Because I mean, I'm sorry, anybody with common sense can see she has nothing to stand on. She has no past track record. She has nothing. And she was just thrown into this position because of the fact she was the VP of a failing policies anyways, on most parts, that they didn't, it's just crazy. I mean, you have to see that it's following the same pattern as, even going back as far as Lincoln. Lincoln was trying to, free the slaves, took away a lot of the money making from the slave owners and stuff like that by implementing all those laws that had to deal with slave trading, and then he freed the slaves. And then there was a lot of states and everything else that were against his policies, which in turn led to the Civil War. So I mean, there's always.
So was the Civil War after Abraham signed the Gettysburg Address? Or did the Gettysburg Address?
Well, I think it was during.
It was the Civil War that happened And then he did the Gettysburg Address, and then they signed it finally, and there was like, you know, which way did it happen? Anybody in chat?
It was during the Civil War. Says the Battle of Gettysburg, or the
Right, so he was a politician
turning
back
during
in-
a turning point, making significant Union victory toward Confederate. It was basically his speech saying that they won. Is basically what it was.
Well, sir, I got to go to bed, man. I got to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm old and don't want to be late for work, for my first day of work at my new job.
I thought you worked today.
No.
Hmm.
No, it's a civic holiday up here for us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I got to get off here anyways. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, on X, Rumble, and YouTube. I appreciate you guys. You guys make sure you leave some comments, leave some feedback, everything else in all the chats. Really appreciate that. If you have any other stories that you would like to hear or listen to and have us argue about or discuss,
Let us know, man.
Let us know, and we'll put them up. Just DM me on anything. Leave comments on the YouTube channel, and I appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you guys
Have
later.
a great night.
You're listening to the Rebel Nation. Streaming to the world with two different perspectives.
Join Gunny, Rebel, and their guest on X, Rumble, and for those on the go, Station Head.
Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern.